We'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to thank each and every one of you. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your coming out here tonight. What?
I don't think we're on.
It's a few minutes till
We're good. Thank you.
All right.
Test,
As
test.
they say, can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. We appreciate you coming out to this evening's meeting. This is the 5th meeting of the Board of Directors for calendar year 2026. We'll begin with an invocation by Pastor Mark Mabry with Creekside Community Church, and I'll lead the pledge. All rise.
Thank you to the Board of Directors. It's a blessing to be here. We came here with my family 10 years ago, and this month Creekside celebrates 10 years as a church in Hot Springs, and we've been so blessed by the city, but thank you for this opportunity. Let's all pray together. Almighty God in heaven, Lord of heaven and earth, Father, we bless your name. Father, now during this meeting and over all of the city, Father, we ask your blessings. Father, we especially ask the blessings upon this board of leaders and directors as they decide to make monumental decisions. We ask that you grant them your wisdom, your discernment, your grace, and your vision. And we pray also for every family represented here tonight, the same prayer, that your presence would be in their life, that you would bless them and see that they have your favor upon every aspect of their life. For Father, your word proclaims that it is you who puts everyone in positions of power, from presidents to kings to board of directors to pastors to leaders of all this community. And Father, for that we say thank you. But most of all, Father, we thank you for Jesus, your Son, our Savior, the greatest gift ever given, to give us that hope of eternal life with you. We pray this in the power of his name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll call this meeting to order. Just a quick note, today's election day, the last day to vote. We have, about another hour and a half? Is it 7:30, Director Garcia? 7:30. So I don't anticipate this meeting being less than hour and a half. So if you haven't voted, you'll probably miss it. But for those of you who are at home, there's plenty of time. You got an hour and a half. And if you're in line, you'll be able to vote. So we'll begin with the roll call. Please call the roll.
Director Aaron Holliday.
Here.
Director Phyllis Beard.
Present.
Director Marcia Dobbs-Smith.
Here.
Director Dudley Webb.
Here.
Director Karen Garcia.
Here.
Director Steve Trusty.
Here.
Mayor Pat McCabe.
Here. At this time, I'll consider approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions to the agenda, or items to be moved from the consent agenda to new business? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Just point of clarification, and this may go to our city attorney, but to get a third reading, would that need to take place just prior to that, either ordinance or resolution being read, or would that need to happen prior to new business?
Are you asking that action be taken this evening?
Yes.
So we will just suspend the rules as normal.
Okay. Would that need to happen just prior to that resolution or
Yes.
ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. Not at this time?
No.
No, at the time of the reading.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other additions, deletions to the agenda, or items to be moved from consent to new business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Director Trustee, second by Director Garcia. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. At this time, we'll seek approval of the minutes of the regularly held meeting on February 17, 2026. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Director Webb, seconded by Director Dobbs-Smith. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. Well, we have a full house tonight. You're all of our guests, so thank you so much for coming out to participate. Directors, you have any special guests? Thank you. At this time, we'll hear from our city manager, Mr. Bill Burrow, for the city manager's report. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Before I move into my report, I'd like to ask Karen Scott to come forward, our finance director, and provide a quarterly report for the board ending at the end of this past year. Karen?
Good evening, thank you. This report will be for the December 31st, 2025 unaudited financial statements. The general fund finished with revenues over expenditures in the amount of $536,052. In 2024, that number was $5,130,380, or we were down $4.59 million. A couple of explanations for that. As you all know, because I've sent out the report, sales tax was basically flat. Oak Lawn revenues were down a little over 2%. Business license revenues were up, and franchise revenues were up, and interest revenues are up. However, expenses were also up 16.4% in the general fund, a 6.15% increase in personnel, 10.98% increase in transfers out, and a 297% increase in debt service. You all should remember that in 2025, we budgeted and paid all debt service on Amendment 78 financing from the general fund. The unrestricted fund balance was $37,145,439, and the restricted fund balance was $5,055,746. In the street fund, revenues were under expenses, $280,880, which was better than last year, and was a reflection of a slight decrease in revenues and also a decrease in expenditures. We had, as you know, we have sales tax in the street fund, and that was down a little. Interest receipts were down 18%. Paving was down, and that was because we did a large amount of paving in 2024. We had some back tax money that we had accumulated and so forth. The unrestricted fund balance in the street fund is $15,073,508, and the restricted fund balance is $1.76 million. In the water fund, the revenues exceeded expenditures by $2,694,291, just slightly down from last year. And the bulk of that was because interest revenues were down 64%. We had substantial construction funds invested up until this past year as we were completing the water projects, and expenditures were up only less than 1%. The fund balance in the water fund is $83,816,855. The wastewater fund had revenues exceeding expenditures of $978,057, also slightly down from last year. Revenues were up about 6%, but expenditures are up about 15.9% because of higher debt service. We had the 2025 bond issue that came on. We had some debt service. The fund balance for wastewater is $58,481,019. The solid waste fund had revenues over expenditures of $380,746, which is about where we're at last year, a slight improvement over last year. And the wastewater fund balance, the solid waste fund balance is $8,504,431. And finally, the transit fund had revenues under expenditures of $55,000, which was slightly better than last year. And we had an increase in revenues of 19.3% because of increases in federal and state grants. And we had a slight increase in expenditures because of salaries and services increases. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Karen? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving into my report, as I normally do, I want to start off recognizing some of our new hires: Dakota Gaddis at the airport, Spencer Wills in utilities, Terry Johnson in animal services, William Coleman in utility billing service, as well as Shelby Orr in utility billing services. I want to welcome them to the city of Hot Springs, and I know they'll do good work, kind of varied in the different departments that they were hired in. but looking forward to working with each of them and welcome them to the Hot Springs family. Also want to mention 2 promotions to you. Gabe O'Brien was promoted to equipment operator in the water distribution system, and Donald Smith was promoted to a crew leader in the wastewater lift stations. And congratulate those 2 for their recent promotions. The City of Hot Springs Parks and Recreation Department, in partnership with Half Associates, is developing concept plans for the Hot Springs Sports Recreation Master Plan. These plans present 4 potential site concepts that evaluate suitability and proposed facility locations based on the community's recreational interests and priorities. The community is encouraged to review the concept plans and provide feedback by Wednesday, March the 18th. This will help shape the future of sports recreation in Hot Springs. The survey allows participants to review, respond to, and rate each element within the conceptual master plan designs. That is located on the Parks and Recreations page on the city's website, www.cityhs.net. Please go to that website and you'll be able to get to the Parks and Recreation page and take part in that survey. Community Resource Center on Friday, February the 15th, St. Luke's Episcopal Church right next door hosted a Mardi Gras benefit celebration featuring music, food, and fellowship. They raised $5,000 for the Community Resource Center and want to thank them for that donation. Meanwhile, the Friends of the Hot Springs Community Resource Center have raised $58,488 and also received a $50,000 anonymous matching pledge, bringing that total to $113,488. The Friends are working hard. They're at the center as well as in fundraising, and want to thank all of those that are involved in Friends of the Community Resource Center for the work they are doing. They are truly changing lives in that particular facility. District Court, want to mention amnesty days, or warrant amnesty days. Individuals with failure to appear or failure to pay warrants may report to the Garland County District Court between March the 2nd and March the 13th to be served on their warrant without being taken into custody. All individuals need is their photo ID, so there'll be an amnesty day from March 2nd to the 13th at District Court. Our Planning and Development Department, they've started their Operation Clean Sweep. It actually kicked off yesterday. It's the first clean sweep of 2026. And from March 2nd through the 20th, the initiative will focus on approximately 320 address points. Those are between Reserve and Spring Street and from Malvern to Illinois Street. The last clean sweep conducted in this area was in 2023. The city will carry out the initiative over 3 weeks, focusing on education, cleanup, and enforcement. The first week, neighborhood service teams will conduct door-to-door visits to encourage voluntary compliance and distribute information packets to the residents. The second week, the solid waste department will be coming through with the CAP service, the Clean Attractive Property service. Trucks will collect items that are placed curbside for disposal at no additional fee. The third week will focus on enforcement with inspectors addressing remaining violations. Additional support will include increased police patrols, fire department safety checks, and assistance from animal services. So appreciate them getting that clean sweep up and running. One of the things that I want to make the board aware, and it may have been in Karen's report, we got our December sales tax numbers in, and they were 3.9% above last year. As you know, we were heading into December a little bit behind in our sales tax. Karen stated they were flat. They were 0.27% above last year, which as we were heading into that with the January and February, especially February, where we were down 5.7% in sales tax, it was really good to see a strong December come in that pushed us over the cap to have a positive growth in 2025. The last 2 things I have is a couple of dates. I want to mark your calendars, and I'll send this to you as well in an email. May the 18th is a board meeting night. However, at 5 p.m. we're going to schedule a work session, and at that meeting, May 18th, 5 p.m., the Hot Springs Metro Partnership Majestic Committee will present the two proposals they received for the Majestic site, as well as their ranking of those
Bill,
proposals.
March or May?
May 18th, I'm sorry, did I say March?
No, you said May.
Okay. I'm sorry, March 18th.
March 18th.
I wrote down May too.
March.
I can't read my writing.
Like in 2 weeks.
So March 18th, 5 PM, here, right before the board meeting. Give us about an hour to be able to listen to those proposals, give the board an opportunity to have dialogue and questions from the committee, or for the committee. And then we'll head into our business meeting at 6 PM. On April the 6th, it's the day after Easter, it's a Monday, 10 AM, we will have the grand opening and ribbon cutting for the new water treatment plant. So it's a big date. Please try to be there. The reason we're choosing that April 6th, as you know, Congressman Westerman was very influential and beneficial in helping us get our permits and helping get the reallocation study signed by the Corps. That's a date that he could be here as part of that celebration. So April 6th, 10 a.m., we'll have the grand opening and the ribbon cutting. And one of the things we'll do on that day, other than just cut a ribbon, we want to be able to provide some tours. So we'll have utility staff there, as well as some of our engineers, to take small groups at a time through the plant, let you see the plant, how it operates. Maybe the only time you get to see a structure like this. As you know, it is the largest single infrastructure investment in our city's history. So we're very proud to get that up and running. We're making water today. There's still a couple of things that, some punch list items that they're doing before we can officially close out the contractor. But by this particular date, everything will be done and everything will be ready. But it's looking good. We're making great water. It's almost too clean coming out of Ouachita to make water, but very proud of the plant, very proud of the work that all of our city staff has done and our partners that have helped us build that. So, you know, that's something that has been desperately needed. It allowed us to continue opening up connections throughout our community. So we're very pleased to see that come about. It was a $150 million project. As you know, it started out as 100. After COVID, it ballooned to 150. I was reading an article yesterday about Austin. They had contractor engineer reports of about a $900 million wastewater project. That also took up to $1.5 billion. Now they need another $600 million to make that work. So, you know, those are just the sign of the times as we look at things that are going up. But April 6th at the water plant. Mayor, please.
Very
my
nice.
report.
Any questions of Bill on his report? Hearing none, we'll move on to Board of Directors announcements of upcoming events. Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. The convention center across the street continues to grow business for Hot Springs, and some of the upcoming activities this week, March 6th through the 7th, Archery in the Schools program will be here. March 12th through 14th, the high school basketball finals for the state will be here. March 17th through 19th, the East Conference will be here at the Convention Center. These are all very large groups from across the state that will be here in Hot Springs. And just to give you a heads up on another upcoming event so you can put it on your calendar, October 22nd through 24th is the Arkansas Elvis Festival. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So what happens at the Elvis Festival?
You have to be there to see.
I have to dust off my Elvis costume. All right.
Yeah.
So at this time, any other directors with upcoming events? Director Webb.
Thank you, Mayor. That's going to be hard to top, that one. But another event coming up is Thursday, March 12th. It's the National Park College Job Fair. Thursday, March 12th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is at 101 College Drive. This is open to the public, students and community members who are all invited just to explore the different opportunities on this campus, meet local employers, and then take the next step to their future. So again, the NPC Job Fair, Thursday, March 12th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then as soon as that's over, run over and watch a couple basketball games at the convention center. There you go.
All right.
Don't step on my blue suede shoes.
Director Dobb Smith.
Well, you can't leave out the 23rd annual, first ever St. Patrick's Day Parade that will be held coming right up here on a Tuesday afternoon. Let's see, the district opens at 3 p.m. and the parade starts at 6:30, but do not wait till 6:30. You will not find a parking place. And for those who've never attended, and I can't believe there's anybody in Hot Springs that haven't, but maybe not, you can see, even if you can't get on Bridge Street, you can see it all the way from the farmer's market at the staging on our way around. And we're very happy that they started this parade on March 17th of 2023, because that's the day my husband and I got married, and now he can remember our anniversary. So we've been married 23 years that day.
Very nice. Any other announcements? Director Holliday.
Thank you. Thank you. I am pleased to announce the upcoming Valley of the Vapors Independent Music Festival. This is an organization I worked with a long time ago, and I feel real old to say it's the 22nd annual festival. But it's been going strong for a long time. It's a really fun festival. A lot of bands who come from South by Southwest come into Hot Springs. And so if you're interested, the festival is March 13th through 15th. It'll take place at Whittington Place, which is a venue over on Whittington Avenue. And tickets and band announcements are at valleyofthevapors.com. And that's it. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Upcoming events? Hearing none, we'll move on to consent agenda. These are of a routine nature and do not merit individual discussion, so I'll entertain a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Director Garcia, seconded by
Second.
Director Holliday. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is adopted. This time we'll hold a public hearing, and I'll ask Mr. Albright, our city council, to read the title.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a public hearing that is required under state law, specifically Arkansas Code Annotated Section 14-235-223, Paragraph D. When dealing with potential charges or fees associated with wastewater, a public hearing is required after the introduction of such a proposed ordinance, but before the implementation of that ordinance. At your meeting on February 17th, the ordinance, which appears as agenda item number 13 on your new business, was introduced by first reading only. A public hearing was scheduled pursuant to law, and notice was published in the local newspaper, the Sentinel Record, 10 days prior to today's meeting. So this would open up an opportunity for individuals to speak on this item, understanding that it's also an agenda item as well, that will be open for discussion later on in your agenda. But as a public hearing, anyone who wants to come forward and speak on this issue is welcome to do so now.
The public hearing is open for anybody who'd like to come and speak on the item. Was this for the public hearing or the?
They signed up on both.
Both, okay. So we do have a couple individuals that have signed up to speak during this public hearing session. Carol Weatherford, you want to speak now or wait for the
I'll just wait for the
agenda? Okay, thank you. Lance Levy, would you like to speak now or wait for the agenda?
I'll wait for the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Those are the two names that have signed up under the public hearing session, but does anybody want to come forward and speak on this issue during the public hearing? Okay, there be no one coming forward to speak. We'll close the public hearing at this time. Thank you. Keep it. Okay, we'll begin with, we have a few items under new business. The first is consider resolution R-26-51. I'll ask city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-26-51, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 605 South Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion and a second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobb-Smith, seconded by Director Trustee. And our James Hartage, Neighborhood Services Manager, will provide the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Board, for allowing me to be here tonight. I am here to propose condemnation for the purpose of demolition and clearing the vacant single-family residential structure located at 605 South Street. This structure is located in District 3 and is owned by Kenneth and Belinda Walters, who live here in Hot Springs. Parcel number 38684 is an L-shaped lot that sits on the corner of South and 6th Street. The parcel also contains a second vacant structure, that address being 604 6th Street. However, we are only recommending condemnation of 605 South at this time. Since 2016, the Planning Department has issued multiple notices to Mr. Walters regarding the property, beginning with a vacant structure notice for damaged windows and followed by subsequent notices for the damaged roof and collapsing rear porch. In 2022, we posted a notice of intent to condemn at the structure, and at that time, Mr. Walters obtained a permit from the Planning Department and had the roof removed from the rear porch. However, no additional work has been done and no other permits have been pulled or have been issued at this address. You can see from the photos in the packet that the roof of the house is still damaged with missing decking and roofing. Both the Hot Springs Property Maintenance Code, Section 111, and the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, Volume 2, Section 116, define a structure as unsafe when there is a lack of maintenance or repair, or if it constitutes a hazard to the public. And I have copies of those if you'd like me to read those sections. Having inspected the structure, we believe that it meets the standards set forth in these codes and is unsafe. Given the extent of that deterioration and the inability or unwillingness of the property owner to make repairs to stabilize, and having no reasonable alternative, we are recommending that the structure be raised and removed.
Okay, any questions of Mr. Hartage? Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We have a number of people that signed up on this item, and we'll call your name. You're provided 3 minutes, so please be respectful of that 3-minute time and tell us your thoughts. We'll begin with Cassie Schultz. Cassie Schultz. Please come forward and restate your name, address, and board district.
Casey Schultz,
Casey.
19986 Highway 84. Board, I come here today. I've invested in this neighborhood for nearly a decade now. I've watched this particular property stay vacant, no property upkeep. As mentioned, one permit was pulled to have the back roof pulled off. Security issues, but I've watched countless houses burn down in this neighborhood. I'm going to keep my time short and sweet. We're starting to see investors come in, the houses to the right and the left of it, and I just came today to ask the board for their help to help us improve this neighborhood and continue the investments that we're trying to make over there.
Very good.
Thank
Any
you.
questions of Casey? Hearing none, thank you. Kathy Harrington. Ms. Harrington, please come forward to restate your name, address, and district, please.
My name is Kathy Harrington.
Kathy, can you lower the microphone a little bit so we can hear you?
I'm short.
You're good. You're all good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. 605 South Street, I've looked at it, and I've lived here for 43 years on that street, on 6th Street, and I've seen one people live in that house. And it's condemned as far as I say, the roof and the structure of homeless people and whatever goes in there. But I also have something else I want to talk to you about. And I have a slumlord at 610. And like I said, I have lived there for 43 years. And I have put me and my husband have put in a lot of work. And I don't feel like I should have to move for renters. And they completely do the bad things as far as their music. It's late at night. I've called the police, and I don't know if they go by there or what, but the foul language is so bad, so bad. And my daughter is handicapped, and she cannot sleep. She has seizures, and she has totally no sleeping at all. And we live right across the street at 701. I can see in my yard what goes on, what happens in the front. Now the back, I know there's a lady here that can tell you about the back. But I've had them to steal from me, and I don't steal, but I've had the people that live there steal from me, and I called the police. I didn't have a camera, but I went to Easy Mart, and we was driving back through on South Street, and they were loading my bitch in a black truck covered with a bedspread or something. I didn't call the police, but I already knew they had stolen it. I had never had any problems with, no problems with stealing in my around my house. I smell pot all the time and smell meth, and I think it's the brick house beside 6010. We usually smell it at night. It was so bad that I couldn't even, I had to go to bed.
Okay, man, we'll have a staff member follow up with you on that, on these
I have
items.
more. I mean,
I understand, but you're speaking on a matter that's not on the agenda. So,
I know.
So, but let us
but Lynn
continue.
Newton needs to be thrown out of this community as a landlord. I mean, he's a slumlord. That's what I call him. Sorry, but
Thank you. Was it Lois Harrington? Lois, please come forward and restate your name, address, and district, please, and please focus on the agenda item. Thank you.
My name is Lois Harrington, and I would like to read condemn because they pay ride it and Rit-O-10 pay ride it.
Okay.
And I get a headache, and when I get a headache, I can't get over it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I can't read the last name. Is it James O'Dane or O'Dwyer?
Davis.
Pardon?
James Davis.
That would work.
Dave said
Okay. James Davis.
Davis. James Davis, 701 6th Street. About South Street.
Correct, 605 South, yeah. That's the agenda item, yeah. You
Okay,
signed up to speak on The condemnation of 605 South Street?
South Street, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been vacant for a long time, and it's about condemned. We've lived there for a long time, and we have homeless people coming in, breaking them and coming in and out of it, and so it's in pretty bad shape.
Okay. Thank you. Helen Parker? Helen Parker? Please come forward and restate your name and address and district, please.
I'm Helen Parker, and I live on 6th Street. Like everyone else was saying, this building has been vacant for a while. It's an eyesore in our neighborhood. It makes the neighborhood look bad, and it just attracts a bad element. Plus, it's dangerous, you know, and it just, anyone coming into our area, it just cheapens the whole look of our area, as well as makes people not want to be there at all, especially the people that live around or nearby it. And I feel like it would help the area if it was condemned and torn down.
Very good. Thank you. And then our last name on the sheet is...
Kavika Morelli. I knew it was good.
All right, well,
always know it's me.
well, you can read it from there.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm Kavika Morelli. I live directly next door, 609 South Street, two-story. It's taken me 2 years to do it. I get old, ugly houses in the neighborhoods, including Ward Street, and I make them beautiful. And this son of a gun's getting dirtier and nastier by the minute. Not only you get the raccoons, the cats, every now and then a stone guy gets up in the porch, the front porch. I'm right there, like I said. Normally I would have it for sale, but I've moved into the house and I camped there only because I'm scared of next door catching on fire like the two houses did across the street. I wanted to buy them and redo them, but some arsonists beat me to it. I just don't want them to burn down the one directly next to me. I'm the one that mows the yard in the front. I don't charge for it because obviously it makes my property look better. The roof's caving in. There's nothing to do with this house. If you're just going to let it sit, it's an eyesore. The duplex on the corner, gorgeous. The sixplex, and then there's a house next to me, that's all redone. Then you got a sixplex on the corner there. That man just put hundreds of thousands of dollars making that sixplex. And we got this big old beacon of ugliness just stealing the show. And my house is for sale. People, they love the house. I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. It's a 5-bedroom, 4 custom bathrooms, double lot. You know, you can bring people into a neighborhood, but if they're scared, that includes around the corner what the radio's talking about. The sheriff's hands are tied. They've done a great job. The 2 years I've been working on the property, the police have up their presence there. They're absolutely wonderful. And so I've seen the change myself. I personally have not had any problems with the neighborhood because I'm always out there and they see and I'm better in the neighborhood. They're happy for it. But something's got to be done about that little death trap next door to me. It really does.
All right.
Thank
you. Appreciate you. That concludes those who have signed up to speak. Was there anybody else who wanted to speak? Come forward, sir. The gentleman from the back, and then ma'am, we'll get you next. Please restate your name or state your name, address, and district, please.
My name's Ken Walters. I own that death trap. So I admit I've neglected it for years. Given the chance, now that I see what the neighbors think of it, I'd like the opportunity to repair that house. I don't want it torn down, and I'll do whatever it takes.
All right. Thank you. Ma'am, you raised your hand. Did you want to speak? Ma'am, it's right here. I think it's second row. Please come forward and state your name, address, and district, please.
My name is Kelly Garriger.
Kelly, can you pull the mic down just a hair?
I live at 100 Knoxon. I am directly behind the house on South Street. So I see everything that goes on back there the trash, the breaking of windows, the breaking into the houses from behind. I now have a 6-foot privacy fence, so I don't have to look at it, so I do not have to see what goes on back there, because I've seen dogs be abused back there. I've seen men using the restroom back there. I've seen people sleeping back there. I've been assaulted in my own backyard from over there. And it does need something done. That's really all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, is she speaking of 605 South?
Ma'am, were you speaking of, yeah, yeah, she was. She's on the back side of it.
She's speaking about 610. I live in the big L of it. I'm in the corner.
Okay. Second part?
Are you talking about the house that's on Angel?
Yeah.
Sure.
That concludes those who have signed up to speak, and the couple extra that we invited up. Now we'll have discussion amongst directors. Directors have any comments on this item? Director Dobbs-Smith?
And I know that Mr. Walters says that he wants to do something to the house, but this has been an issue for 10 years now. 10 years. These neighbors don't deserve to have to look at this. If Mr. Walters can do something with it before it gets torn down, fine. But I encourage you all to vote to tear this. I don't even want to use the words that they use, but it's a terrible structure, and it's taking down the values of the property owners near it. And it is also, not only is it taking their values down, but it's just not fair that they should have to live next to this. So I encourage everyone to vote to remove this structure, and if Mr. Walters can fix it in, what do they have, 30 days to get some significant work done. But if you look at the photos that we have, and I live very near there as well, nothing has changed except for the worse in 10 years. 10 years. I see nothing changed.
Director Holliday?
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I appreciate how many neighbors come out. We have these items often, and I think it speaks volume to your street and your blocks that the work that you guys are doing and that you showed up. So, you know, I just wanted to say that I appreciate you guys being here and taking the time.
Any other directors want to speak on this item? Hearing none. Please call the roll.
Director Holliday?
Aye.
Beard?
Aye.
Dobbs-Smith?
Hell, aye.
Webb?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Trustee?
Aye.
Mayor McCabe?
Aye. The resolution is adopted. We have a couple ordinances we'll be addressing at this time. First is consider ordinance O-26-07, and I'll entertain a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title. Director Webb?
Mayor, thank you. This is one of the two ordinances that I was referencing earlier with our city attorney to encourage our board to have a third reading, most of which is due to the significant amount of data that went into these impact fees, and to give me and the potential, and I'll just speak for myself, to give me more adequate time to reach out to developers, contractors, and the people here of Hot Springs to get a feel for what this impact fee might do to that community moving forward. And then so that's why I would like to entertain to have a third reading.
Okay.
And now I really don't want this entertaining a third reading to impact the presentation that's coming tonight. You know, would it have any impact on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the speakers, I want to hear from those that are here tonight to speak on it. I want to see the presentation from Mr. Jackson, but it's a lot here, and you know, something of this magnitude that could have this kind of impact in our community, especially when you consider that affordable housing is one of our board's major goals. I want to make sure that we get it right.
So if the board should not vote to suspend the rules and allow it to go to the floor, then it would be read by its second time, title only, no discussion, go to the next agenda item. On the other hand, if you want to suspend the rules, take it to the floor, there can be discussion, presentation, speakers can speak, and if you still want to table it, you can make a motion to table.
That's what I'd like to do. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll proceed with a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title.
So moved.
We got Director Trustee, seconded by Director Garcia. I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title only. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Mayor, this is ordinance O-26-07, an ordinance adopting development impact fees for wastewater system of the city of Hot Springs, amending ordinance number 5275 and prescribing other matters relating thereto. That does conclude the reading under suspension of rules. If you would now entertain a motion second to adopt so that discussion may be had.
Motion to adopt, Director Garcia, seconded by Director Trustee, and staff report will be provided by Brian Albright, City Attorney.
Mayor, I'll begin it. Know that
Yeah.
we're going to have a presentation from Dan Jackson regarding the study that he has conducted on behalf of the city. This is the ordinance that was previously introduced at your meeting on February the 17th, at which time you also set the public hearing, which we just concluded. All of that was necessary pursuant to the particular statute that deals with wastewater fees and charges. With respect to impact fees, Arkansas Code Annotated Section 14-56-103 authorizes municipalities to impose a fee or charge defined as an development impact fee to offset costs to the municipality that are reasonably attributable to the providing of necessary public facilities to new development, including wastewater treatment and sanitary sewer. Previously, on June 21st of 2004, the Board of Directors adopted ordinance number 5275, which set an impact fee, a development impact fee for the wastewater system. Since then, a new impact fee study has been prepared by Wildan Financial Services concerning the wastewater system. The study includes wastewater capital improvement plan and level of service standards, which indicate that an increase in the development impact fee is justified. Impact fees must be segregated and not used for your everyday ordinary operation and maintenance expense. It must be put into a trust fund that is segregated and restricted. The impact fee imposed pursuant to this ordinance may be assessed, collected, and expended only for the planning, design, and construction of new wastewater facilities or of capital improvements to existing wastewater facilities that expand the system's capacity, or for the recoupment of prior capital improvements to the wastewater facilities that created capacity available to serve new development. The impact fee may be pledged to the payment of bonds issued by the city to finance wastewater capital improvements or wastewater facilities for which the impact fee may be imposed. No impact fee shall be assessed for or expended for the operation or maintenance of any wastewater facility or for the construction or improvement of wastewater facilities that do not create additional capacity. No monies from the wastewater trust fund shall be spent for periodic or routine maintenance, rehabilitation, or replacement of any facility of any type or to cure deficiencies in capital wastewater facilities existing on the effective date of this ordinance. The fee would be imposed on new development, which includes any residential, multifamily, commercial, industrial, or other habitable improvement to lands within the system service area. The commencement of new development is deemed to begin upon the recording of a final plat on or after June 1 of 2026, depicting provisions for wastewater utilities, or in the event a final plat has been recorded prior to June 1, 2026, without the collection of applicable wastewater impact fees, then upon the application for a new wastewater connection, again, beginning June 1, 2026. Or 3, if no plat is required, then upon the application for a new wastewater connection beginning June 1 of 2026. There are exceptions. Exceptions include reconstruction, expansion, or replacement of a previously existing residential unit that does not create any additional residential units, or installation of a larger water meter. B, the replacement of destroyed or partially destroyed non-residential building or structure with a new non-residential building or structure of the same use as the original structure and with no more than 5% increase in floor area from the original structure and no increase in the size or number of water meters. C, projects for which an impact fee for this type of facility covered by this ordinance has been previously paid in an amount that equals or exceeds the impact fee that would have been required by this ordinance. D, projects built by governmental agencies. E, accredited public or private schools K through 12. F, construction within a duly established redevelopment district or improvement district for which the impact fees have specifically been waived by resolution of the Board of Directors prior to the commencement of such development. G, such other economic or community development projects for which the impact fee have specifically been waived by resolution of the Board of Directors prior to the commencement of such development. And D, provided further, an accessory dwelling unit has been redefined by the state legislature during our past session. That was Act 313 of 2025, codified at Arkansas Code Annotated Section 14-56-205, which states that you cannot require a separate water or wastewater connection apart from the primary residential structure on the lot. But if the developer requests a separate wastewater connection, then the fee associated with that would have to be capped at $250. Again, we'll go over the fee schedule in a moment, but with respect to accessory dwelling units, that fee would be $250. There's also a method by which the board can waive the development impact fee in order to promote the economic development and the provision of affordable housing in the city. The Board of Directors may, on a case-by-case basis, waive some or all of the impact fees imposed on a proposed development by this ordinance. Any such decision to waive impact fees on behalf of the developer shall be at the discretion of the Board of Directors and shall be made pursuant to the goals and objectives of the Board of Directors to promote economic development and affordable housing. Affordable housing developments may include federally funded projects or projects funded by private nonprofit organizations for the benefit of low to moderate income persons. Developers seeking fee waiver, either in whole or in part, shall make application on such forms as may be prescribed by the city to the city manager or their designee, who shall process such applications for consideration by the Board of Directors. That concludes a summary of what this development impact fee is for, how it can be used with respect to the study and any proposed consideration that the board might give on future fees. I'll yield time to Dan Jackson unless the board has any questions or comments for me at this time.
Any questions of Brian? All right. Dan Jackson with Wildan. He does a lot of our rate analysis and recommendations, and he has a presentation for us.
Thank you very much, Mayor, members of the board. My name is Dan Jackson, Vice President of Wildan Financial Services. I've had the privilege of being your financial consultant for the past 20-plus years, so I've gotten to know the city of Hot Springs very well, and I guess you all have gotten to know me pretty well based on the number of presentations I've given to you over the years. I have a brief presentation tonight where I would like to summarize the results of the impact fee study that we recently completed at the direction of the city. It was both a water and a wastewater impact fee study, so if you don't mind, to save time, I'd like to go over both the water and the wastewater impact fees, knowing that you've got another water fee schedule coming up next. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk a little bit about impact fees in general, and then I'll go through the calculations and the numbers that we came up with in our study. But I want to start out by just emphasizing a couple of points that Mr. Albright made earlier about what an impact fee is and what it is intended to accomplish. An impact fee is a one-time charge paid by new development to finance the construction of public facilities needed to serve it. When a city incurs growth, a city incurs costs. When a new house is built, when a new business is built, a city incurs cost in servicing that new development. That cost has to be paid for. City basically has two choices. It could either have it paid for by the new development itself, or it can have the existing ratepayers pay for it. There is no right or wrong answer here. Cities do it different ways. Different cities do it differently. But the purpose of an impact fee is to reimburse a city for the costs it incurs in servicing this new growth. Now, the fees are calculated using a defined methodology. In other words, I didn't just sit in my office and dream up the impact fee. I used a nationally recognized methodology to calculate the impact fees. And so therefore, the impact fees calculated in this study are similar to what are calculated for other cities around the rest of the country. As I said earlier, by cities that implement impact fees, they ensure that existing ratepayers fund as little of the new cost of new development as possible. And finally, a very important point Mr. Albright made was that revenues from impact fees cannot be used for ongoing personnel or operating expenses. It can only be used for those costs associated to service new development. Now here, different states handle impact fees differently. I reside in Texas. Texas has a very complex set of laws for impact fees. Arkansas has laws as well. Code 14-56-103 deals with development impact fees for the state of Arkansas. It requires that the adoption process be implemented in a very direct way. First of all, you have to have a capital plan. That capital plan has to be developed by the city, and it has to be approved by the city. In other words, the capital improvements that form the basis for the impact fees have to be developed by and approved by the city. Then the fee is calculated per service unit, and it has to be formally adopted by a governing body through an ordinance, and the ordinance outlined by Mr. Albright earlier. And finally, impact fees have to be used. If you collect them, you have to use them within 7 years. If you do not, they have to be refunded. Okay, now, there's been a very interesting evolution in the state of Arkansas over impact fees. When I did your first impact fee study back all those years ago, back in 2004, only 1 or 2 or maybe 3 cities in the entire state had impact fees. Well, now, as you can see from this chart here, many more cities in the state of Arkansas now have impact fees. Impact fees are all over the map. I mean, you have some impact fees that are only a few $100s, and then you have some impact fees that are several $1,000s. The reason is very important. This is a reason that I've emphasized repeatedly in the study and in this presentation. The calculation of an impact fee is the calculation of a maximum fee. A city is not obligated to implement the maximum fee. You can implement any fee from 0 up to the maximum. Not all cities choose to implement the maximum fee, because a city has to balance the desire to collect the cost of new development from new development with the desire to ensure that you are not driving new development out of the city. We economists have a saying: if you raise the price of something, you get less of it. And so therefore, you have to reach a balance between setting an impact fee that does recover development or development-related costs, and ensuring that that fee is not excessively high, and that results in development going to other cities. Now, again, like I said, impact fees are all over the map. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, where I regard cities tend to be very aggressive in what their impact fees are. They're very high. Phoenix, Arizona, that area, very, very high impact fees. The Austin area, very high. But many other areas and many cities don't have impact fees at all. So the decision is really a local decision based on the circumstances of each municipality. As you can see, the national average impact fee for a water utility is about a little over $4,000. And my failing eyesight, I can't quite read what the average is for the sewer impact fee, but it's in how much?
$36.91.
$36.91. Okay, I knew it was around that area. But, that's the national average. Okay, but again, keep this in mind. An average is just that. There are cities in the Phoenix, Arizona area that have impact fees that exceed $20,000, $25,000. So an average is just that. It's all over the map. Okay. Couple of very, very important considerations to think about as you consider the adoption of a new impact fee. The numbers that I provide in this study result in the calculation of a maximum fee. In other words, the maximum fee that would result in the recovery of 100% of growth-related costs. However, as I said earlier, and I'll probably say this again a couple more times, a city is not obligated to put in the maximum fee. You can put anything from 0 up to the maximum. And so that is your true challenge, to balance the desire to make growth pay for itself with the concern of not driving development out of your city. Okay, I'm going to talk just real briefly about water, then I'll talk about wastewater. The key element of an impact fee, and this, believe me, this is not going to be a seminar on how to do an impact fee. I'm just going to provide some very, very basic information. When you calculate an impact fee, you have to segregate the capacity that's used currently with the growth-related capacity. As you can see, the capacity used by all customers for the water system is about $148 million. You have a very, and that's about what you would expect for a system this size. But importantly, the growth-related capital costs, both the current excess capacity is $12 million, but the growth-related capital improvements is about $134 million. Now, a lot of this is your new water treatment plant, but your new water treatment plant is not 100% growth-related. Most of it is growth-related, but not 100%. And so what we did is we had your engineers go over every aspect of your capital improvement plan and identify what portion of that expenditure was growth-related and what portion was replacement-related. Impact fees do not recover replacement-related costs, so we made very, very sure to segregate out those costs. But when you look at a cost of $134 million, you have to recognize the fact that adding new capacity is incredibly expensive now. And it's a lot more expensive today than it was even just a few years ago. That is something that all cities are struggling with right now. Adding new capacity is incredibly expensive. Okay, so the bottom line with result to the calculation of an impact fee is that it is composed of basically 3 elements. First, the buy-in of the existing system, then the current excess capacity, and third, the growth-related capacity. This calculation shows that if you chose to set a maximum impact fee for your water system, it would be approximately $11,174. Now, that also includes a debt credit, because one thing to keep in mind, you build a new house, okay? Somebody moves in, they pay an impact fee for the new house. They move into that new house. Then they start paying a monthly water bill. And that water bill includes the cost of the debt that is taken out to finance the construction of the system. And so, for that reason, the methodology requires that you put in a credit to credit those future water rates against the impact fee to make sure you're not double dipping your people. So, there is a very solid process put together to try to make this thing as fair as possible. But $11,000 is a very high cost for a maximum fee, but I will tell you, as somebody who has done impact fees all over the country, this is about where they're coming in at in terms of maximum fees for different utilities because of the fact that capacity has gotten so expensive in recent years. So, if you start out with an $11,000 impact fee with a 5/8 inch meter, the methodology also recommends that you increase the fee for larger meter based on meter equivalency ratios. Now, once again, you're not obligated to do that. But this is what you would be allowed to do if you chose to do the maximum. So, as you can see, when you get up to an 8-inch meter, the fee is very, very high, over $800,000. But think about how much capacity an 8-inch meter actually uses. An incredible amount of capacity. And when you're spending over $100 million to build a water treatment plant, and a lot of that capacity is used to service an 8-inch meter, then it starts to become a little bit more understandable about how expensive that fee is. Now, I'll quickly just go over the wastewater impact fees as well. The wastewater current system is about $97 million, with a current excess capacity of $21 million and growth-related capital improvements of about $107 million. So, like the water system, the cost of capital improvements for wastewater has significantly increased in recent years. That results in a wastewater maximum impact fee of $10,674, and that also includes the debt service credit. So, this, well, once again, you would take the wastewater impact fee and you would index it to the associated water meter. And so as you can see, as you get larger and larger meters, you would end up with a larger and larger fee. So, once again, if you were to set the maximum water and wastewater impact fees, according to our calculations and our forecasts of future growth, you would recover over $40 million on the water side and over $35 million on the wastewater side in the next 10 years. If you choose to set an impact fee at something less than the maximum, obviously you're not going to recover as much revenue. But you would still recover a significant amount of revenue, even if you set the fee at only $2,000 to $3,000 to $5,000 as for a 5/8 inch meter. So the choice is very simple. You know, the higher the maximum fee, the more revenue you recover, but also the higher the fee, the larger the burden it is on new development. And so that's the balancing act you go into with regards. So just to summarize my presentation, impact fees are becoming much more common as a means of financing the cost of growth and the cost of construction. Cities all over the country are wrestling with this issue. They're growing, they need to add new capacity, the capacity is becoming more and more expensive, and they need to figure out a way to pay for it that is fair, just, and reasonable, not just to the new development coming in, but also to the people who are already here. That you have a lot of flexibility in setting what your ultimate fee is going to be. And, one last time, you do not have to set it at the maximum amount. You can set it at anything from 0 up to the maximum amount. So, we have completed a report that documents our calculations in more details. And, of course, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have at this time, but I just want to thank you once again for the privilege of providing this service to you. So with that, any questions?
Director Dobbs? Smith?
Forgive me for not knowing the answer to this, but you mentioned growth several times, and our city has a unique situation where we really haven't grown much inside the city limits in a number of years, but we have extended our water and sewer on out into our county.
Right.
Are these impact fees applicable to the county connections as well, or are they just inside the city limits?
The entire service area.
Yes.
So if
For the county as well.
if someone said to me, well, that's going to kill growth inside of the city, if the same fee would be charged to someone who builds 1 mile outside the city or 1 foot outside the city limits as inside the city limits?
That is correct, ma'am.
Okay. And then this probably is more for us than for you, but a lot of comments on affordable housing and the impact that would have. So you're saying, according to what I saw on this rate, we go from 500 for a 5/8 inch meter, and I'm assuming what size, a smaller home, 2,000 square feet or something?
5/8 inch meter, yeah.
Yes. So a smaller home. So someone who's putting in a tiny home for affordable housing would have to pay now 2,000 unless we make you're not recommending that we charge 2,000, but that's what's on the paper that we received.
Yes.
So a little house, a little tiny house would have to go from $500 to connect to 2,000?
It would be, the fee would be standard for all 5/8 inch meters. Now, Mr. Allmeyer might want to jump in as to what you can do with regards to affordable housing or low income housing. I think there are some exceptions for that. But as far as the impact fee is concerned, 5/8 inch meter is a 5/8 inch meter. The reason is that for every 5/8 inch meter a city puts in, a city is required by the state to have a certain amount of capacity available. Doesn't matter whether you use the capacity or not, you have to have it available under state rules. That's why the fee is standard. No, whether it's for a tiny house of the 1,000 square feet or a big house of 5,000 square feet, if they both use a 5/8 inch meter, they both would pay the same fee.
Thanks.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. If memory serves me right, looking over everything that was presented to us in this packet, the current impact fee for water is zero. The 500 that was being spoken about is just for wastewater, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
So in essence, if coming back to 5/8, and would it be fair to say that 5/8 for the most part is for residential building?
That's correct. That is a standard residential meter.
So, I mean, in that regards, that essentially is $4,000, these impact fees, as prescribed to us on this ordinance, because it's $2,000 for water, it's $2,000 for wastewater. So what once was $500 to build is now $4,000 to build. So 500, you know, on a $100,000 home, look at that percentage versus look at what $4,000 is weighing in on somebody to build. So the question I want to ask is, can, you know, you were sharing with us that there is some flexibility in setting impact fees if the board chooses to move in that direction. And I'm looking at a lot of this is coming from your, I guess, presentation right here. I'm looking at page 4 where it has a lot of different jurisdictions here in the state and then also around the country. And there are, I want to say, 3 different cities just on this page that have what appears to be a range. So can a range be set? Could say, you know, the range be set for water 500 to 2,000, and could wastewater be set at 500 to 2,000? And that could all be determined based on the square footage of the home, whether or not it is put in for affordable housing, single family. Could there be some factors in play to determine how that range gets set?
If I recall correctly, the reason why a couple of these had ranges was that some cities were transitioning from a 5/8 inch meter standard to a 3/4 inch meter standard. You're seeing that happen more and more in the industry, that 5/8 inch being replaced by 3/4. So I think what it is you've got the 5/8 and then you've got the 3/4. I think, if memory serves, I believe that's the reason why you see those ranges.
Okay. Well, would it be possible then, even in that case, to have a range set for just 5/8?
I don't think.
And that be determined based on the square footage of the home?
I
and
believe
maybe some potential other factors too.
I think you have to set it for a 5/8, whether that's $2,000 or $100. You have to set the amount for a 5/8 because you need that meter ratio to flow throughout your rest of your meters. If you wanted to protect a smaller home, you could do something in the neighborhood of a waiver for a certain amount of square footage. But when you're setting the impact fee, it's whatever this board sets for a 5/8. The rest of it flows from that.
Right.
Okay.
Director Garcia?
I still got a couple more. You can come back to me if you want. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. That's what I was going to ask. And after consideration and input that the board receives on this matter, if the board so chose to make amendments or add additional exceptions to provide for a waiver to encourage the affordable housing construction, that could be legitimately considered and added to the ordinance. Is that, I'm asking, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Within the confines of, what we can articulate, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure what page it's on in here. And I'm not seeing a page number here. I will just tell you that for what I'm about to ask you, it's coming off of the growth numbers that you were sharing based on the water system impact fee and then the wastewater impact fee. It starts with year 2025 and works its way all the way down to 2056. The question I have, for us here in Hot Springs, there's really only one permit fee, you might say, for wastewater, but nothing in place for water. Are these growth numbers here based on the current settings in Hot Springs? Like, for example, in 2025, on a 5/8 water meter size, 321 forecast annual new accounts.
Right.
And then by the time you get down to 2056, that number's all the way to 437. So would those growth numbers be based on the current settings, like having no impact fees, for example, or just the 500 in wastewater?
No, it does not, assume any significant decrease in growth based on the imposition of an impact fee. It's based on status quo, basically.
So that was the meaning that I think I picked up on that too, is it doesn't take into consideration what might happen as
Right.
a result of an impact fee. So
Right.
do you have any like real-time data that shows growth patterns or lack thereof of cities that have no impact fees at the start and then adopt impact fees through an ordinance? Any data to show what happens to the growth numbers after that conversion?
I really don't, to tell you the truth, because, housing prices are based on market values. And I haven't seen any studies that correlate impact fees to, higher impact fees to negative impacts on growth. Now, again, you can say as a general economic principle, if a price gets too high, then you do run the risk of negatively impacting growth. The problem is, what's the definition of too high? And I think it's going to be different for every individual community.
Well, you pause there. Director Holliday, did you have a question?
I do. I have a couple of questions. One, and you would probably know this, you've been here for a while, but when was the $500 wastewater impact fee put in place?
2004.
Thank you. I knew someone would go quickly with that. Okay, so we spent a lot of time not long ago doing a new rate plan for residents. How does this impact that? Like when you came to us with the residential rate plan and how that was going to recoup all of the costs that we're occurring right now, how does, if we were to do no impact fees, does that shift that burden more heavily onto the residential ratepayers, or was this factored into place assuming that we would have impact fees in the near future?
The last rate study assumed that there would be no change in the impact fees, that your $500 impact fee for wastewater and $0 for water would continue. So if you adopt a new impact fee, that would be taken into consideration in the next rate update. Okay. And we would want to discuss with staff how you would use the revenue from that impact fee study. Because you could use it to directly offset the cost of growth, or you could use it to pay the debt service associated with growth. Either of those two ways will benefit ratepayers.
Right, and that's what I wanted to make sure of, because I didn't, if this were to get voted down, I wouldn't want to have to come back and increase rates to the residents to offset this.
It could offset future rate increases.
Yes, it would definitely offset future rate increases.
Yeah, and that's what I was hoping would be the case. And then real quick, on your presentation, when you had the other cities in Arkansas, was that their max, their average, or was that the 5/8 rate?
That's the 5/8/3/4 rate.
Okay, just making sure. I think that's it for now, thank you.
Director Webb, did you come up with your third question, or?
I appreciate it, Mayor. Mr. Jackson, I appreciate you too.
Thank you.
You're a lot smarter than me, so it just takes me a little bit more time to think of what I want to ask you to try to get a consensus of what at least I think we ought to do moving forward, so I appreciate your patience. I don't think I have anything more for right now that I need to direct your way, other than, and that question just came up, looking at these current impact fees that are in cities here in Arkansas. I mean, you've got, let's see, Rogers, looks like it's $6,400 between water and wastewater. Springdale's in that ballpark too. Would most of those, and were you saying that those rates here are consistent with that of 5/8 too?
Yes, so they're base meter.
Base meters.
Again, most cities do have a 5/8 inches as their base meter. However, it seems like the systems are gradually converting to 3/4. So Some of those cities might have 3/4. I don't recall which ones would.
Those two that I listed don't have any ranges, but I do know they are more industrial-based cities versus we are more of a destination town, long-time locals and retirement, so that factors in too. Okay, that's all I got for now. Thank you.
I got a couple comments, Dan, and you may respond or provide some input. You know, we're trying to strike a balance here, and that's what I hear you saying. You've got the impact fees, and we've got our current ratepayers. And of course, the impact fees are for those who create new development, new demand on the system.
Right.
The current ratepayers are paying a rate to pay for our new infrastructure that we put in.
Right.
Your rate study that we implemented, we have a $150 million water treatment plant that's just come online.
Right.
We're completing final phase of $150 million or so wastewater. And that was spread out over a number of years, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be about $150 million. So each of those has a unused capacity for generalized growth of some type that you would predict, but if we have a entity come in and we get spurring development, and you and I talked about this before the meeting a little bit, and we talk about AI data centers, or it could be a pea cannery, it could be something that's heavy utilization of water. And they say, my God, Hot Springs has all the water in the world. Let's go to Hot Springs. And all the capacity is used up. And now we go to these people right here. I know we have a couple developers here, but we have all these people who are single-family home ratepayers. We're going to say, we don't have an impact. If we don't have an impact fee, you got to pay for that. You're going to pay for an additional water treatment plant or an expansion of the existing water treatment plant so that we can meet the normal growth patterns versus the spurt of industrial development or some kind of development that used up a significant amount of water. And they didn't pay an impact fee for it.
Right.
But you guys have to help build the new plant.
That's
and that's the tug of war there.
Right.
You know, where is that balance? You know, I'd hate to see, you know, residential people, existing residential customers, and even small businesses and other businesses, you know, be greatly impacted because of something new comes in and uses the unused capacity, requiring Bill and the staff to say, hey, we've got to do another XYZ $1 million expansion to our water treatment plant.
That's correct.
I think that's what you're trying to get to with this impact fee. And of course it's for us to have a teeter-totter. So it's not necessarily curtailing development, because that's not what we want to do. What we want to do, though, is make sure that new development's paying their fair share for what's going to come down the line when new capacity is required. Was that kind of a fair assessment?
I think it's a very fair assessment. And that is why cities look at impact fees. And that is why cities wrestle with this choice, particularly in this day and age, where if you got a data center come in here, they would use a lot of water, an awful lot of water. They'd probably get an 8-inch meter, maybe even a 10-inch meter. And so that would use up a lot of capacity. That capacity has to be paid for. Now, they would pay a rate, but they would pay only a small portion of the growth costs, and the rest of the ratepayers would have to pay the rest without an impact fee. That's the purpose of an impact fee.
Yeah. Thank you. Director Dobbs-Smith?
What you asked was basically what I was going to ask,
Okay.
is if we don't charge this impact fee to a data center, was exactly what was on my mind, because I read some studies about how much water they use. And if we did get a data center in here, that cost would be borne by our regular ratepayers. And I'm more interested in protecting our homeowners and getting people to move into the city and stay in the city, and having the businesses bear their fair share of the impact the impact that it has on our water rates and our water usage. So, thank you for asking that.
Other comments or questions? Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Bill, how many of these different sizes of meters do we have? How many?
That's a good question.
How many do we have any 8-inch meters?
We do, and because you look at that number and it's really large.
Yes.
And there was one on this study that you have. One of the cities on here, I think I sent the article to you a couple of weeks ago, where they just went from that 1,000 to 7,000, and a 120-seat restaurant was going to be $860,000, I think.
Yeah.
But when you look at ours and you look down there and you see an 8-inch meter at 160,000, you know that really looks huge, right? Based on a 2,000 5/8, because it's all incremental. When you look at a meter ratio of a 5/8 inch meter, that's 1. When you get to the 8-inch, that's 80 units, right? So we have one 8-inch meter in the city system, and that's Oaklawn. That their new development.
Okay.
We have 11 6-inch meters. 4 of those are at Oaklawn. One of those is at CHI Hospital. National Park Hospital has one. Magic Springs has 2. National Park Service, Gulf Gorge, that whole area has 1. We service through wholesale to the city of Mountain Pine. That's a 6-inch meter that feeds that entire city. And then the rehab, Arkansas Rehab, Army Navy Hospital had 1. So when you look at those meters, there's very few in the system, but it's also something very large. When you look at a campus the size of one of the hospitals or a Magic Springs water park, those are 6-inch meters. Those are the type of businesses that would use that kind of water. Typically, you're going to see a 5/8 inch meter in any of your residentials. Larger homes, some of those will put in a 3/4 inch, but that's a lot of water coming out of a 3/4 inch pipe. You may see some 1 inches, but they're rare. And then you do have some 2, 3s, and 4s, depending on the size. But when you look at this ratio of a 5/8 meter to an 8, think about a residential home and a water park.
Right.
And the things that come in between those would take up that 2 and 3, 4-inch meters.
Okay.
But the majority of everything we have in the system is 5/8 and 3/4. We've got about 36,000 accounts, I think, maybe a little over. We grow at 1% a year, so that's where you're getting some of those 300, plus additional meters, and each year that compounds. So that's basically what our system is doing today. And you look at a lot of these cities, and as Dan said, most cities, when we looked at it before, didn't have any impact fees. But that's prior to growth that they've done. And when you look at a city that invests $300 million in their water and wastewater, you're looking to recoup some of that, or it's going to be borne on the existing ratepayer, which I think Dan and the mayor both said. But as you see this list, as other communities have to continue to invest in their systems, and we see that all around the state right now, because most of them have, I won't say most, but several have become dilapidated. They have got to put huge investments into their infrastructure. We just did it on the front end. Now other cities are having to do that. You're going to see this list of impact fees probably grow.
So the key here is this meter ratio.
Correct.
Whatever we set the 5/8 inch meter at, the rest will be based on that. That's
Typically how
correct?
it does, yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Let's go back to Steve's comment, Director of Trustees' comment, and Bill's statement. Is there a regulation that says if you have 5/8 at X, the rest have to flow somewhat proportionally, or is that just?
The methodology and the AWWA recommend that, but it is not ironclad. You do not have to go by the meter equivalency ratios. You can do something less than that if you want. Can't do any more than that, but you could do something less than that if you so choose. But the concept is basic fairness. As you said, an 8-inch meter is the equivalent of 80 5/8-inch meters. That's why the fee is 80 times higher. But once again, you do not have to do that if you so choose. You could set it as something less. You have a great amount of flexibility.
But you can't, if you set the 5/8, I'm going to use the word discount. That might not be the right term. But if you discounted the 5/8, would that then proportionally put the other ones above some
No.
max threshold?
No, not necessarily, because you see, what we calculated in the study was the maximum for each meter size. So you could set it anywhere up to the maximum for each meter size.
Regardless what other meter sizes?
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it does need to bear some proportionality as you go down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a relationship.
All right.
To treat them fairly.
Other comments or questions of Dan or the presentation?
I have a quick question.
Director Trustee?
So this impact fee, whatever we set 5/8 at, or the entire column, could be maximum. It could be labeled maximum impact fee, because he said we don't have to set the fees. We don't have to charge the fees that are in this table. But
Right.
this could be maximum impact fee.
Well, let's semantics. When he talks about maximum impact fee, he means based on his study, we could charge a maximum amount. He's not recommending, staff's not recommending that the city charge the maximum amount allowable under the study.
Right.
What's being proposed is $2,000 for a 5/8. If that's something that the board wants to work on, please do, work on it.
Okay.
Okay. Director Holliday?
Thank you. This is probably more a question for the city manager. For residential construction, understanding that if you've got an irrigation meter, it might be different, but where do we kind of top out for a home, a single-family home, with the meter size? Like, what would be a big house meter size?
I mean, typically, a 2,000 square foot house is going to be 5/8. A 5,000 square foot house?
Maybe three-quarter.
Maybe 3/4.
So we're looking, I mean, the 5/8, 3/4, maybe 1 inch is what you're looking at for single-family homes or possibly duplexes. After that, it's typically going to be commercial, correct? I'm just thinking where my mind was going after the mayor's comments about
Apartment complexes.
Right.
You know,
kind of shifting, if we didn't follow this particular pattern because we're wanting to make sure that residential development stays robust, I kind of wanted to know where that line was, where it might shift into commercial. So, thank you.
Yes.
Director Trustee?
So just to clarify, we don't have any houses that have over a 1-inch water meter?
I don't, Monty's in the room and Gary's in the room. I don't believe we have any homes that have over a 1-inch, do we? That you can think of? Yeah, I mean, it'd be very odd to have that.
So it's what Director Holliday said, basically, the 1 inch and above are gonna be.
Yeah, typically
commercial.
5/8 and 3/4
Yeah.
is gonna be it.
Yeah. Okay.
Any additional? Oh, Director Dobbs-Smith?
So to the city attorney's comment that we don't want to be unfair, we have different rates for businesses on water and sewer than we do on businesses. Why couldn't we have a fee schedule for residential and a fee schedule for commercial? Because it looks like most of the, I don't know what kind of business would have a 5/8 inch meter.
There are businesses that have 5/8 inch meters.
But if we had if you're a business, you pay this much. If you're a house, you pay this much.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. It seems like we've had this discussion somewhere as we've looked through this over the years, and it was a matter of compatibility, that regardless if it was commercial or residential, we're not in that sense, we're talking about, this looks at just capacity. What
Right.
capacity of the system are they taking? And it doesn't really take in consideration type. You can control that on rate, on incremental rates, I think better than, or justified better than you can a capacity impact fee.
Right.
If I recall that conversation, I don't think it was while we were looking at this one, but we've addressed that before, I think.
Director Garcia?
Piggyback on that, what I understood was that the state law kind of set that as far as 5/8 is 5/8.
Pretty much, because the state law says you have to calculate a rate per unit. And it's, a unit is a unit. It doesn't matter whether it's a unit of water being used by a residential, commercial, hospital, government, whatever. A unit is a unit. That's why under impact fee methodology, that's why doing it by meter size is always been the accepted methodology, because that is a direct way of correlating the unit to the meter size.
So I was interested in adding to the waivers and exceptions for encouraging the continued building for affordable housing, and to have something there to have those exceptions in place. Because in my district, I've had, and a lot of them are second homes, but very large, $1 million homes close on the lake, and then I've got areas where the housing for under 1,000 square feet. So I've got 3, 4, 5 bedroom, 5 bathroom house, and a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom, 1 bath. But I would rather see a waiver for these, so we get the smaller houses that are needing for the workforce.
Well, it sounds like we all have some good ideas, and maybe your suggestion of tabling and putting some extra additional thought in this. Is there? Pardon? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do have, well, let me close out with Dan then. Do we have any further questions of Dan? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we do have a couple individuals that have signed up to speak, and they were on the hearing, public hearing session, but waived that to be able to speak at this time on the specific agenda item. We'll bring up, first we'll call on Carol Weatherford. Carol, please come forward and restate your name and address and district, please.
Carol Weatherford, 103 Ironwood, Hot Springs, District 4. Problem is, you guys really don't understand that impact fee is on top of a lot of other things. And I paid for one this morning at 174 Woodridge, which is off of Malvern, right beside Peters Paint. And here's what it cost me: $500 impact fee, $150 application fee, which I get back, $1,200 to install the water service, $100 deposit for the water meter, $75 sewer permit fee, $500 sewer impact fee, $540 for a sewer tap, $740 for a street cut, $125 for a lateral kit, which is $3,250. So if you take away that impact fee that you've already charged me here, now you do me $2,000 and $2,000. You see what I'm paying. If the water in the sewer was right at the curb, I wouldn't mind that impact fee. But I'm paying more than just impact fees. Nearly every house that I've built, and I've built 5 low income and 2 customs and 3 others, and 1 in the county, and nearly every one of them has cost me in a neighborhood of anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. So that impact fee is just, you're really gonna drive people out, not in the city but in the county. You're gonna make us quit building. We can't afford it. I can't pass that on something I'm gonna sell for $150,000. That's crazy. And I understand that we got to pay for everything that we've done, the $300 million for water and sewer, and hey, I was part of that. And I sat on the water commission, those guys probably gonna be mad at me. But it's just, you're getting us, on top of that, I had to pay a permit to build that house, and my plumber has to get a permit to plumb it, and my electrician has to get a permit to plumb it, and my heating and air guy's got to get a permit for that. So by the time all those permits are done, things cost us about $8,000 that comes to the city. I mean, it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, I think you guys need to table this. Get some of the builders together. You know, I'm not a developer. I build individual houses. I buy lots wherever I can, and there is no lots in this city that's you can buy where the water and sewer are right at the curb. I mean, there's lots in this city that, I mean, right in the middle of the city that doesn't have water or sewer to it in the street. You might have to run it. In a case of, on Pleasant Valley, I was trying to buy 6 lots. I got water, but no sewer. I got a manhole at the street, but to run it up for those 6 lots is $17,000. Plus all my impact fees and everything else. Just makes it impossible to build anymore. On top of everything going up. COVID killed us, prices went up, they hung us out. Prices aren't going down. So, and I mean, that's a good case of, you know, what the city got into with our improvement projects. I mean, it snowballed on us, and it's snowballing on us, so.
Yeah, Mr.
Any
Weatherford,
consideration you can give us.
I think Director Garcia has a question.
The one that you mentioned that you paid this morning, Alvin, what size, what square foot?
5/8 meter.
No, what square foot house are you building?
That one's 1,200 square feet.
Okay.
I will say, though, that those particular costs are our actual costs to dig it and get it there.
Yeah, but I'm having to pay it. Now you're wanting me to pay, if you take away that sewer impact fee and then you made it 2,000 and 2,000, that's 4,000. I mean, that permit, if you pass this in June, could be $6,000 time you get through. I mean, it's tough to pass that on.
No, but that's why I wanted to look at the square footage and have waivers for these.
Yeah, but how would you do that? Because we would have to come to you for a waiver.
No, not if we put it in the ordinance as an exception.
Who's going to waiver it?
You're going to waiver it? If it's less than X square footage.
It'd be part of the ordinance.
It'd be part of the ordinance. I don't know if that's 1,200, 1,500, I don't know what that is. But this is why that I am in favor of.
Well, the ones I wanted to build on Pleasant Valley were going to be like 800 square feet.
But yeah, see, that's
but
even lower, so
I
all
still
of
can't,
that
I
would
still
be
can't
exempt.
afford it, looking at 17,000 to bring sewer, which I have a manhole right there, but I've got to bring it up the street, because you got to have a manhole at each end, and, you know, you got all your, you know.
Yeah.
So
But if we had waivers and added that exception to the ordinance, it wouldn't have to be approved. It would already be exempt.
Okay.
Exempt or reduced or discounted, so. Thank you for bringing that forward, Mr. Weatherford. Lance Levy, please come forward and restate your name, address, and district, please.
I'm glad Carol went before me because I didn't know what district I ran in, but I knew he was my rep beforehand, and Dudley is now, so that's District 4.
Well, lines change, so stay tuned.
212 Sunset Bay Road, I think that's District 4. So, I had a speech prepared, but I've spoken to the different members on the board this past week, and of course, B and Bill and the mayor. My first question, I build affordable housing, as y'all know. On the waivers, the way the current ordinance is read, proposed ordinance, is, and this has been discussed a lot in the last 30 minutes, there's waivers for private entities or developers that get money, federal money, and there's waivers for nonprofits. Is that correct? Brian?
The reading is affordable housing developments may include federally funded projects or projects funded by private nonprofit organizations. I don't think that it's necessarily limited to nonprofits.
Because that's one of my main issues is I don't use federal funds, and I make money so those nonprofits can have money because they get money from people that make money, and we give it to. I mean, that's how the system works. We need people making money to pay those things. I would like to see something in there, I think, as others that do what I do, as y'all consider this ordinance, have we discussed the waivers? Because I have two projects being proposed here to build. One of them is to build 1-bedroom, 1-bath houses where I built 5 in the city, and I've only been here 5.5 years. And currently the impact fee would be $500, which I don't mind paying more. I understand there's cost to doing business, but there's got to be a balance. And with the new proposal, that would go to $8,000. Now these houses are $70,000. That's almost 8% of my cost. That's not including the street cut, the 15-inch RCP pipe that I got to put in for the drainage. I mean, the air conditions I put mini splits in these things. And I used to put 2, I can do 1 now. Those things are $4,000. I did a project on Roland Trail, which some of y'all might be familiar with. I'm spending $40,000 to run a 6-inch sewer main and set a manhole, because when that was done in the county, nobody's fault here, they did a 4-inch for one house. That's cost me $40,000. I've spent $80,000 on putting in 2 fire hydrants on that street where there are fire hydrants, and that has been annexed in the city for 12 years. So I'm not sitting here freeloading off this city. I think I'm paying more than my fair share, but there's got to be a better balance for those of us that want to build affordable housing. If I'm building a 5-bathroom house in a 3/4 meter, that is no longer a need, that's a want. A house is a need, but when you get it to a certain size, it's a want. And I'm in that category. My house is a want. It's bigger than the average house. And I should pay more. But these people that are working, I rent to one of your workers, Mayor. He's paying $700 a month, 1-bedroom, 1-bath house. So, I mean, we want affordable housing, but then we want to. So again, I think y'all need to table this and find a balance, because I think it's money the city needs, but I think there's some adjustments that could be made.
Any questions of Mr. Levy?
Sorry I didn't dress nicer. My dad's probably turned over in his grave for not dressing professionally.
No, he'd be very proud of you. He was a very, very good man.
Thank you. Did you?
Director Webb?
Well, thank you, Mayor. I was just going to ask you, Lance, are you a private developer or are you nonprofit for nonprofit?
I'm about making money.
So you're private.
Yeah.
And you're.
I like to give back too, but I like to make
I
money.
knew what your answer was, but
Yeah.
I want to give you the opportunity to say it. So I mean, in Hot Springs, in Garland County, you're familiar with this building community. How many private developers, contractors, builders are here doing residential work, commercial work versus nonprofits?
I can only think of one nonprofit, and that's Habitat, that builds. But you'd have to look at the permits, building permits, to see if there's other nonprofits. But that's the only one I know about.
And I give you that question just to bring this point. There's everything right with providing those waivers for nonprofits because they're building for all the right reasons. But I think it weighs heavy on what was suggested by the conversation that you and I had be earlier, and Mayor, your suggestion, and even what you just stated, and Director Garcia, that we should table this, and we should really look at how we are to allow those private developers and builders to have waiver opportunities, especially those that are providing any type of incentives for affordable housing here in Hot Springs. And I think the numbers, if we were to get those, I did ask, it was a little late. You know, I know, Bill, you're good at what you do, but I don't think you were that good, right, to get it here that quick. I asked for those numbers, and it's one of those, that's a deep dive to get those numbers, looking back 3 to 5 years to see how many homes and businesses were built by private builders versus nonprofits. I think it's fair to say that if we were to get those numbers, the private side is going to outweigh the nonprofits heavy. And so as we look at those numbers, if we identify how many of those are benefiting affordable housing, we want to be forgiving in that aspect so that that kind of growth can continue to happen for Hot Springs. So I haven't got any other questions for you. Do you want to respond, or are you good?
In affordable housing too, there's HUD guidelines based on cities, states, and census bureaus. So it's a very technical, and we use the words loosely, but there's a lot more behind it to know. So I think whether y'all vote on this evening or table it, I don't know if square footage is the exact way to go or not, because it costs or something, because of the technical terms that are so far, in affordable housing. And people talk about it all the time, and what you might think affordable and I think affordable can be two different things. I mean, I'm not a builder by trade. I'm a bean counter, accounting degree. I mean, I'm a numbers person. These hands are soft, they have no calluses. So I'm not I'm a numbers person myself. That's why I think one of my reasons of being successful over 25 years in this business is constantly watching costs, but also knowing you have to have increases to pay for things. I got to go up on rent at times. And the city has to go up, has to do something with impact fees, because their cost of doing business has got more and they need the money. And I get it. It's just where do you find that balance? And that's, in conclusion, I like to say as a builder here, everybody for the most part has been great to work with, from the permits to the sewer. We've had our battles, but on a whole, everything's been professional and nice and good. And I've enjoyed working with the different people in the city. I think it's been a positive experience.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. Director Webb?
Do we have any more speakers, Mayor?
No.
It's at this time that I want to make a motion to table this, I guess, and the following ordinance.
Well, let's do one at a time.
Okay.
So we got a motion to table ordinance old dash 26-07.
To April 21st?
Yeah, and to also consider having a work session in between here and then, and I would just ask that work session not be the week of March 23rd. That's spring break.
May have to have a little more time.
Okay, pardon?
May have to have a little more time than that.
More time?
Yeah, we might.
I mean,
I'm
From the
not
work
married to
session
April
standpoint.
21st. If you'll give me a time that does work, bring numbers, then.
I don't have my calendar.
April 21st is like 6 weeks.
Yeah, and we've got 2 already planned.
2 work sessions already planned?
But that's fine. We'll get you one.
Well, I'm saying we can roll it to May if you want to.
Well, we just need some time to be able to get developers notified, because you're going to want to hear from them and get them in the room. And we've got spring break coming. We've got 2 already scheduled, so we can put it together. I'm just saying, you may want to give yourselves a little time.
In that case, table it to May 5th.
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
Are you bringing the Mexican food?
Everywhere on something.
Everywhere Director Webb goes, he has Mexican food. So
this is true. If it's pleasing to the board, May 5th.
May 5th.
Second.
All right, we got a motion by Director Webb to table till May 5th. A second by Director Dobb Smith. Please call the roll.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia. Aye. Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday. Aye. Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Motion to table is approved. Now we'll move on to our next ordinance, which is ordinance O-26-09. I'll entertain a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title. Director Garcia, seconded
Second.
by Director
Second.
Trustee. I've got a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Council, please read by title.
Ordinance O-26-09, an ordinance adopting development impact fees for the water system of the City of Hot Springs and prescribing other matters related thereto. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt, followed by a motion to table.
Motion to adopt. Director Garcia, seconded by Director Trustee. Yes, we have
We've already had the presentation.
yeah.
I moved to
Well, I just
table.
want to make sure
Second.
that we had two people sign up. Director Weatherford, you okay with waiving your speaking? And Mr. Levy, you okay? Okay. Now where are we at? Motion to table?
Second.
We got a motion to
Same
table
as the,
till May
conditions
5th.
as the- Yes.
May 5th. May 5th is the second. We have a motion and a second to table. Please call the roll.
Director Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday. Aye. Beard.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Motion to table is approved. Our final action item of the evening is consider ordinance O-26-10. I'll entertain a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title.
So moved. Second.
Director Webb, seconded by Director Trustee. I got a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Please, please read by title.
Ordinance O-26-10, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 6520 by removing Church Street parking lot from the city's short-term facility use policy. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Webb, seconded by Director Garcia. And our staff report will be provided by Deputy City Manager, Mr. Lance Spicer. Welcome.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I'll be brief in the comments. I know you've got a lot of people signed up to speak, and you've had a pretty full evening of discussion already. As the title of the item states, the item is to restore the Church Street parking lot back to its primary function, utilize it as a parking lot. And in doing so, it would amend the city's short-term facility use policy, and there was also a fee associated with the short-term facility use for the Church Street parking lot. So a little bit of history about the Church Street parking lot. It was deeded to the city in 2022 from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. It's approximately 70 spaces. That counts the ADA spaces as well. The city's spent approximately $76,000 on the lot since that time. That's paving, striping, fencing, etc. But really, what's occurred since the city has taken ownership of the parking lot, made those various improvements to it. The board back in January of 2025, you amended the city's special short-term facility use policy to add the Church Street parking lot to that. So in doing so, the parking lot was able to be utilized by people that wanted to use it for things other than parking. So we did have a reservation rate of $100 for regular reservations, and it was $50 for nonprofit usage. The lot itself, it has just recently, in the past couple weeks, the board took a good number of parking spaces that were previously regulated parking spaces and have transitioned those to unregulated parking spaces. Really in an effort to provide more parking, more opportunity for employees and visitors, and really kind of focus our parking efforts in that downtown core. And the unregulated spaces that were being provided to the surrounding businesses, Church Street parking lot was one of those that shifted to unregulated. So the Church Street parking lot, it's adjacent to the Hotel Hot Springs. It's adjacent to the food truck court. There's some commercial development there. Additionally, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Hot Springs Convention Center, they do utilize that parking lot. So it is kind of it's a cog in the wheel that we use for the downtown development. But the recommendation or the consideration for the board is to remove this particular parking lot from that short-term facility use and basically utilize it as a parking lot, as bring it back to its primary function. For those individuals and entities that did utilize the facility for different types of activities, wherever those may be, we do have other facilities that are capable for special events and things of that nature, but also for those that utilize it for social services, for feeding, resource distribution. City has also invested a good deal of money and effort in the Community Resource Center that's located at 109 Hobson. It does have a lot of benefits to it. It is an indoor facility. It's not an open air parking lot. There's bathrooms, a covered space, but the Community Resource Center would be an opportunity for those entities that have previously and currently are utilizing that Church Street lot for those social service activities. So kind of with that, I'll yield my time because I know we do have quite a few folks that have signed up to speak. That's for the board's consideration, removing that facility from the short-term event policy.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Spicer? Director Garcia?
Yes, am I correct that last month's action on ordinance 6569 has already put this parking lot added back to the unregulated parking zone?
That's correct.
That's already been done.
That's correct. So I think we utilize the parking app and the text to pay. We've taken the programming and removed that from that option. So if you look at a parking map, it'll show it's blue shading, so it's free unregulated parking.
Thank you.
Any further, Director Dobbs-Smith?
So if we put that back under the parking area, I know we're changing again, but if we put that back under the regulated parking, we would make no change. The recommendation that you're making, the new business that we're, let's see, ordinance 02610, we would no longer need that. We wouldn't have to repeal that, correct?
Well, what the board has previously approved was an amendment to your short-term facility use ordinance to add that facility specifically into that. I believe what the ordinance is being proposed is to remove that facility from the opportunity to use it.
So even if it went back to paid, this would still be recommended to remove it from our short-term rental policy, or?
Yes, the intent is to have it transition back to its initial use, which was a parking lot.
Just as an example, is the area that was previously paid parking that's under the, I call Regions Bridge, ABT, was that considered for special uses because I know people rented that or did something there for different, the Jazz Festival was there, the Great Fondo they've used it for that. Is that under that policy, that rental policy?
It's actually, I believe that is part of the Bridge Street Entertainment District. Correct. That entertainment district is rather large, but it does include that region.
So that area is unchanged, it's still covered by the same policy?
I believe that's actually a separate one, but I could be mixing my.
When you close the right of way, which was part of what was going on there, that's something to do with the streets. That's the special events. It's not part of the short-term facility use policy.
Okay. Just to clarify, are there any other areas like that are similar that we're not removing or that we've added to our special use policy?
None that we're adding or changing.
And I know the parking deck is one, we use that. I'm assuming farmer's market.
Yes.
this particular location was added to that.
Right.
ordinance
I remember when we
for
did that, it seemed like it was just a few months ago.
Yeah.
But now that we've taken away the paid parking, then we can't have that as a special use because now it's a parking lot. So if it went back to paid parking, could it remain under that policy?
I mean, that would be the board's purview. I mean, I think city manager may.
I mean, whether it's paid or unpaid, it's a parking lot. What the board considered and passed at your last, when this was passed, was to take that parking lot and also make it part of a special event program, to where if it's closed, then it, you know, for that particular area, there wouldn't be parking. You're going to have whatever event closed it. One of the things as we move through that, though, I think the people that are using it aren't necessarily going through the process of closing it for their special event. That gives us the opportunity to look at that and go, hey, we have something else planned. A good example is today we had it's Tuesday, 3 o'clock. We have a gentleman that feeds in that parking lot. March 17th is St. Patty's Day Parade. It's on Tuesday. And at 3 o'clock on that Tuesday, somebody's going to fill that lot up with people eating in the middle of your St. Patty's Day parade. And I think that's some of the issues that we run into when you have a one-off like we have there. What the board decides to do, I mean, you have flexibility to do what you wish with that lot. But it's always been a parking lot.
Where
We
does the
just
Hill
dressed it
Wheatley
up.
lot fall? The Hill Wheatley lot, because I know we use that for special events sometimes. Where does that one fall?
That's another little different one too, because it's controlled through the A&P as well. They pretty much control that lot. We receive the revenue from it when it was paid parking.
Thank you.
Additional questions for Lance or Bill? Hearing none, we have a number of people who have signed up to speak. First, we'll begin with Mr. Willie Wade. Please come forward and restate your name, address, and district, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Directors. Willie Wade, 217 Pine Meadows Loop, District 6. I have something I would like to read. We, the community of Hot Springs, would like to go on record today saying we are against any effort to move the Food for Thought event hosted monthly at the corner of Church Street. The Giving Team Inc. and community partners believe this to be the best location, which was designated by the city board for the intended purpose. To us, the community, this understanding is no different than the city's long-standing agreement with the Daughters of the Confederate, whom continue to have exemption and exclusion in the plans of moving Hot Springs forward. If said entity can remain a fabric of the downtown community, then so should Food for Thought. We should never have the appearance of biasness when it comes to decisions from the board of the governing officials. The community is satisfied with this current location, as well as the service organizations and resources that highly support it. We feel like any further conversations pertaining to this matter should be discussed with community leaders present, as decisions impacting the community should always have the community's input. We cannot become a city where we value wealth over community members and their needs. Thank you.
Any questions to Mr. Wade? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you for coming, Reverend Wade.
Nathan Howe? Please come forward, restate your name, address, and district, please.
Ethan Howe, 114 Spencer Street, District 6. I'm the first vice president of the NAACP here in Hot Springs. I'm not speaking on their behalf, just wanted you to know that we were here. A lot of people are going to discuss tonight why we feel as community organizations this is a bad idea, or why it doesn't fit the needs of the partners that we serve and the community that we serve, that it's not just the homeless population, as I see that gets thrown around a lot, but more geared towards helping people who are in poverty. That's 20% of our population. That's 30% of our child population. So it's a lot more than just people who don't have houses. It's kids that go to my kids' school. I see them there every month. It's parents who don't know how to get resources, or maybe they're getting some resources from other places, but it's just not quite enough. It's costs that we're all feeling now that has made our lives more difficult. It's just more so for them because they didn't have the resources to support themselves in the first place. So I guess my question to the board is, because this hit us very fast and we're trying to figure out how to react, if you remove this from special use so that it just goes to an unregulated parking lot that'll be used by businesses in the area and city employees, what is the plan for the groups that use it now? What are the board's recommendations for how we should pivot? Because we haven't been given a lot of time to react. And so if you vote on this tonight, and then we have to figure out where to go and what to do, you know, I know about the Community Resource Center was mentioned. That's 2.1 miles away from the current lot. I don't know the last time any of you have run your car out of gas and had to walk, but walking a couple of miles sucks. Walking a couple of miles with 10 pounds of food is untenable. So I just wanted to take that time and have you think about that. And I would prefer you to table this so that we all have some time to discuss it. But if you decide to vote, then I hope you make a decision that works for the entire community and not just the businesses. Thank you.
Any questions? Director Webb?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. Nathan, can you help educate me on just exactly how many groups utilize church parking lot now?
I
And
only know...
how often,
Sure.
like which days, what organizations, how often, the times, and how many people are served in the community?
Sure.
That kind of deal.
I can speak to the one that I support. As the city manager said, I see one supporting the homeless community on Tuesdays just because I happen to drive through that route every single Tuesday. For our group, for the Giving Team, and the NAACP is just a partner organization as part of it, they are only there once a month on the fourth Saturday, and they're there for, we say 4 hours to give ourselves time, but it's realistically 2 to 3. And so it's a limited amount of time. If people are parked there, we work around it now. And so if people are parked there because it's unregulated, I'm sure we'll figure it out. In my opinion, the reason that we are in that area is because it's so close to affordable housing. It's so close to the bus depot so that people can get to us very quickly and very easily. And so in my opinion, moving that far away, it's just going to make it more difficult for those individuals. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Courtney McKee. Courtney, please come forward and restate your name and address, please, and district.
My name is Courtney McKee, and I live actually out in the county, but I saw that everybody was welcome to speak. So no district. I want to tell the truth about my life, not the polite version, not the version people expect from someone who's educated or politically involved, but the real version. I am poor. Not used to be poor, not grew up poor, not poor, but I made it out. I mean, right now, today, I am poor. I count pennies at the grocery store. I put things back. I stretch staples into meals and hope the cupboards last until payday. I skip the medicine I need for rheumatoid arthritis because something always has to give, and it's usually me. I live in a tiny trailer that some people look down on, but to me it's home. And none of that makes me less worthy. If tomorrow I lost that trailer and found myself unhoused, I would still matter. My voice would still matter. My life would still matter. People like to tell stories about poverty like it's a phase you graduate from, even if you work hard enough. But I've worked every holiday. I put myself through college with a baby on my hip. I graduated with honors. I earned a graduate degree. I've held multiple jobs down at one time. I've done everything this country tells you to do to make it, and I am still poor. Not because I'm lazy, not because I'm uneducated, not because I made bad choices, but because of the systems we live under that make it almost impossible for working class people to get ahead, especially in Arkansas, where opportunity is scarce and the cost of simply existing keeps rising. And poverty isn't just bills and budgets, it's emotional. It's the look on your child's face when you have to tell her that we can't afford it for the 100th time. Last summer, my daughter asked for a shaved ice, just a shaved ice. And I was scared to even check my bank account because I thought it might be negative. I was lucky to have $20, and even though payday was 2 days away, I still spent 8 of those dollars to buy a shaved ice for her and for me, because I was grateful I could do it once. That's what poverty looks like. Choosing joy in tiny, fragile moments, knowing it might cost you later. I remember going hungry in college because I didn't have money for lunch. I remember the humiliation of food stamps paperwork to prove I closed the bank account 10 years ago just to get help feeding my child. And I'm still here, and I'm still scraping by. But poverty doesn't erase my intelligence nor my work ethic. It does not erase my dignity. And it does not erase my right or anyone's right to be seen, heard, and valued. I'm standing here today not as a success story, but as a truth teller, as someone who knows what it's like to be one bill away from disaster, as someone who knows that being poor in America is treated like a personal failure instead of a policy failure. I matter, people like me matter, and we still matter. Housed or unhoused, struggling or stable, because our worth is not measured in dollars. And that's why it hurts to see a lifeline for people like me pushed out of sight. Not because it's wrong, but because it's unsightly. To someone who sees poverty as an inconvenience instead of a reality, it's not hard to notice that the doorway to our historic downtown still displays a Confederate flag. And somehow that isn't the conflict here tonight. But poor people receiving help is the conflict. But my reality is my truth, and I refuse to let that truth be shamed into silence. We matter, our struggles are human stories worthy of compassion, and tonight I'm standing here to say, we belong right here.
Thank you. And I'm going to apologize. Do we have any questions for the speaker, for Ms. McKee? Thank you. Well, I want to say Miss Davis or Mr. Davis, come forward. Janice, come forward.
I'm Janice Davis, founder and executive director of the Giving Team. Before I need all the people here that are vendors. You asked the question, we have 20 to 25 vendors.
Ms. Davis, speak in the microphone so the people at home can.
To stand. These are people who are there to support. Everybody stand, please. These are people there to support the citizens of this community. We have the hospitals there, the literacy council, the libraries there. And many of you don't know that the library's card gives people, poor people, access to movies, books, internet, free. And they're there to receive those services. Many of these are my board members, no, several, and volunteers, people who give of their time to help the community. It's not about me. Yes, that parking lot means a lot to me. It's not my parking lot. In 19, City Director Elaine Jones went to Steve Erison, and I read his letter today. And I understand NIMBY. That's not in my backyard. I understand all that. But these people aren't leaving trash. They aren't an eyesore. They're people. Mount Harbor, Director Holliday's district, Mountain View, the Aristocrat, those seniors who worked for $2 an hour, some of them, they live on an income of $800. They need the services that we offer. Barbara's in the hall. No, she may be in here. Barbara Irby. For many of you who don't know, that the fact that I have groups from Little Rock that come. Minority Health Fair is from Little Rock, who's a state agency. They were here back in the summer, and they did the prick test and everything. One of the people specifically had a blood sugar of maybe in the 400s, the nurses from Minority Health Fair walked them over to CHI, who are there every month. Barbara Outcome made sure she got an appointment on Monday. That may not mean anything to some of you, but to her, it made a difference. She was there because we offer these services. Yes, I'd like to stay at the parking lot. Yes, it's room for all of us. I understand money. Dudley, you of all too. You're a public school teacher. I taught before you got the good money. I started out in 1981 at 10A3 with a 5-year-old. Sent him to LSU on a teacher's salary. So I know what can be done, and Courtney made my heart feel good, because she's poor. And for him to say they're unsightly, and I understand. I won't even tell Bill exactly what Bernadette and I witnessed Elaine say, because she says shame, and she was disappointed. She got the lot for me from Steve Harrison for us to use. I'm emotional, passionate. We're a small. We receive no monies. I mean, we do, grant monies. But we don't have the money that the city pours into the resource center. Boyce is here, and I think he's going to speak. Sally's here. They've asked me to come. That's not what we need to be. The 20, 25 people with us, we're not even going to all fit up there. So, Lance, I know you said she can go to the resource center. No, I can't. You've never even been. I know, you just rolled your eyes like I do. It's okay, because I make facial expressions all the time. But the people we serve may not even go there. So what are they supposed to do? I just need y'all to tell me. These are y'all constituents. Aaron, lots of people from District 1. They're not all District 2. They're District 3, District 4. My small organization fed 2,500 people at Thanksgiving. All of your districts were involved. The city didn't give me a dime. And I told Steve Trustee today, our donations come from outside of this state, outside this community. Only 2 city directors that support us financially. I appreciate y'all's help. Mayor, I don't know what to tell you. I understand your plight. We need a place to go. We need to stay in this vicinity. I want to stay in the parking lot, but it's not my decision. It's all of y'all's. But if y'all want NIMBY to be in effect, not in my backyard, down Central Avenue, Malvern Avenue, then it's on y'all. That's all I can say. It's on y'all.
All right. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for me? I'll beat you to the punch, man.
You're very good. You're very, very good. I think you were so thorough there can't be a question.
And Wilda Hughley is here from the high school. She has a group. Those kids get community service. They perform services. Do you know what it's like for an 82-year-old to get their nails polished because they can't afford a mani and a pedi? That's what they do. Stuff like that in the summer. Jennifer's here with New Life. They ask people do they need stuff. They give people beds. I mean, we're just not there to, we're not. I didn't use my professionalism. I hope that my son, Dr. Keenan Davis, is not watching this, because I will get it real bad. Real bad.
Thank you. Was there any? That completes those that signed up to speak against. Is there anybody else who wanted to speak against the ordinance? Against? Reverend Beard, did you want to speak against? For?
I didn't have my name on it. I apologize for not getting on camera. You give me 3 minutes, I promise
I'll give you 3.
Thank you.
You're at 2.
Father in heaven, I thank you for the opportunity for the board to allow me to come before them, even though I wasn't on the list to speak. And I pray that the source from where this request comes will understand that nothing in this community should be looked upon as so useless and wasteful that it wants to be shoved from A&P Commission to Grand Avenue. Everything in that area is holy ground. So is the area where the food is being distributed that Janice just got through talking about. Please do not look upon this community as being a wasteful and nasty with people, and it's not worth the time to leave it as it is for the sake of the services that it provides. Please have passion for us. I know the A&P Commission has to do what it has to do. I'm very, very happy to have been a part of it being extended to where it has been extended. And I pray that we can offer services to the people who come here to pay the taxes and to eat in our restaurants and pay money. And when I see them daily in my business, I say, spend a lot of money while you're here. We need your taxes. We need your businesses. I'm for that. But I'm also reasonable and praying that we would never forget that human beings are human beings. They eat and walk and die and sleep just like we do. And let's don't look upon them as some wasteful people who are nasty and they are embarrassing to us when they come to our neighborhood. They're human beings. We just have to clean up after them. They are part of us. They vote. I hope they voted for LaSalle for this board of directors for the first time in history. Today, I trust that they did. They deserved it. I said here 15 years, 5 months, and 20 days, and I'm still getting paid. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell, your name was spoken 3 minutes ago. You'd like to come up?
Yes, how you guys doing? Thank you for having me. First of all, I'd like to just say, it seems like we had this discussion a little while ago, and the reason I believe it came across and we were able to get past it was the word consistency. It's hard to get something like that going as it is. And the more you tamper with that, the more people lose resources. And that's why I believe we were able to get it across the beginning the first time. But we're still tampering with that. Now, I get that we've got a lot of different places that we are trying to funnel and get people resources. But I'm also a big proponent of being very consistent. When we started this with Janice, I think we had, 30 people the first time? 24. She was so disappointed, heartbroken. You know, vendors were coming out, nobody was getting resources. Now we're up to 200 people. I think we have to be very careful about how we adjust, move, and do any of these things. Not to say that we can't do it. I'm saying it has to be done very carefully. So, you know, me with the Giving Team, I'm all about prevention. I'm all about stopping homelessness. I get a lot of people that the Giving Team helps me with. I get 90-year-old women, 80-year-old women that only get $900, and the only place I can put them, because the waiting list on Housing Authority is so long, is $800 a month. So I have to send them out of my office knowing they have $100 to make a whole month's worth last. So I'm pushing them to the Giving Team because they can get shoes for their kids, they can get clothes, they can get food, they can get resources, they can get books. So I'm very passionate about losing resources and not gaining them. So whatever you guys decide, I just hope that you're very considerate about us not tampering with consistency. And if you have to, doing it in a very, very timid way that it doesn't affect people.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Mitchell? Thank you. Mr. Steve Harrison, please come forward and restate your name, organization, and whatever way you...
Do I have to follow Janice and Mr. Beard, though? I mean, it's sort of, that's an unfair advantage. Excuse me, Steve Harrison. I'm the CEO for Visit Hot Springs. We operate the convention center and do the tourism advertising for the city of Hot Springs. I've got to say, I don't think I've ever been prouder of our community than I am right now. If you think about it, most city boards are trying to figure out how we're going to take care of our unfortunate citizens that aren't doing as well. And here we are is trying to figure out where we're going to do it all. So I think that says a lot for what we're doing. I think, you know, Ms. Janice, you've been doing it forever. We've got all these places taking care of these people, and I appreciate that. Obviously, I'm looking at it from a business standpoint. That's the entrance to our city. We spend millions of dollars a year. Surely we can find a place, a closer place that we can take care of these people and their needs. It's just that, we do research every year, and our latest research report showed that, people think maybe we have a crime problem downtown, and how much of that has to be with what they see as they come into the main entrance of our downtown area. And hey, and I'm not, those people, they need help. I get it. I think we're doing that. I just hope we could find another location. We spend a lot of money, and the first thing they see is feeding going on. That's one. The second thing was the convention center. Back in, Miss Jones brought this to us a long time ago. But we weren't quite as busy as we are now. I mean, we had a huge volleyball tournament several weekends ago, and thousands of people and no place to park. We have state basketball next week. Last year we had 68,000 people go through there in 3 days. No place to park. I assumed that when we built the center, the Community Resource Center, that's where everything would go. When we gave the lot to the city, that's what we assumed was going to happen, that would be a parking lot. And it was great, and the city's done a great job with it. And that's not to say, Ms. Janice, I'll meet with you, I'll do whatever I can to help, because you're doing a great job. I mean, you're doing a great job for our whole community. The location of it is just not good. It's just not good for the money that we're putting to get people to come here. We've got over 9 million visitors, 6 million of them spend the night. And when the first thing they see when they come in is people in need, I know when I go to Denver and some other communities, you see all those people just huddled on the corners that aren't being taken care of, like people. Well, or Portland, there's teeming on the corners with people that need help, and we're taking care of them here. I think that's a great thing, and I'll meet with anybody and do whatever, but I just think we need a unified approach. I'm not against her, and she's not against me. I'm not sure about Mr. Beard, though, but we do have a problem. I think we've got different groups taking care of it. We just need to get together and come up with a solution to this. It's a good problem to have, that we're all trying to help the less fortunate in our community. And I did write a letter, and I do believe that for our business and for the business of Hot Springs. I wish we could find a location that might even improve the services that these groups are providing to these people. I'm not sure how many groups use it, because you can go by some days and I think people just pull in there and set up. I'm not sure who's approved, who's not. It's not our lot. It's really not my problem, except when it takes parking away from people that want to come into our community and spend a lot of money. But, I applaud everybody that is helping the unfortunate in our community. It's a great thing. I think somehow we all can work together to come up with a solution that'll make everybody happy. Thank you again, Mayor. Any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Harrison?
Absolutely.
Go right ahead.
Did you have a question, Webb? You had a question? Okay.
Director Beard?
Thank you, Mayor. I read your letter, and I appreciate your comments from here. When you first brought this up at the A&P Commission, you mentioned that this was a problem for you. And so my response was that you were willing to work, or are you willing to work on a solution? So for you to come before the board and offer solutions, that you want to sit down and work with the community to find a better location for the giving team. I appreciate that. You talk about the entrance to our city, and people think about crime when people are getting food for some reason. So with that being said, are you also interested in finding a new location for the Confederate flag at the corner of Washita and Market, where 2 black men were lynched, and which is also unsightly and abhorrent? Yes, 2 black men were lynched at the corner of Washita and Market, because it is also an entrance to our city. If you don't want the people that are needing food and clothing, if that's unsightly, excuse me, let me finish.
Director Beard, we're discussing this particular ordinance.
I am asking a question, and you called on me to speak, so
No,
do not.
we're discussing
I don't know what you do at home, but you are being
0-26-10.
very disrespectful.
I don't believe so.
No, you are, because you called on
0-26-10.
me, you called on me.
Ordinance repealing
And I'm going
ordinance
to
O-
ask my question,
No.
and I know you may want to
You
get
don't
back
have
to
to.
your hotel.
Can I answer it,
No,
please?
I'm not finished. I'm not finished speaking. I was interrupted by the mayor after he called on me, and I'm asking you a question, so if I could finish.
Please
and
stay on topic.
I am on topic. We're talking about entrances to our city.
We're talking about
We are
ordinance
talking about entrances to our city,
0-26-10.
and I have the rest of the night. You have a hotel to get back to, but I have the rest of the night. So
I
when
got
you stop talking, then I will talk. And I can go, and I can go when you are finished.
0-26-10, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we were talking about.
Can I answer that question first?
I didn't even finish asking my question.
You asked me if the A&P owned that land.
No, I did
We would
not.
get rid of it immediately. But as far as I know, it's privately owned, and we can't do anything about it. I guarantee you, I'll be right next to you to take that down if we could do that. But we don't own it. We don't own it. If we own it, we could do something.
Okay, so in the conversations where we're sitting down to have the conversation about where we can move unsightly things, I want that part of the conversation because it is abhorrent. It is horrible to look at, and a lot of people don't want to look at that. So let's have that conversation together because you are Steve Arison. You're the most powerful man in the city, and I know you can get things done.
Thank you, but that's not true. But,
Okay.
but we've already had a great conversation. Willie, Mr. Beard, myself had a great conversation out in the hallway. We're talking about solutions and looking and talking about things. So, I appreciate that, but there's other comments I think are very unfair to the city of Hot Springs.
Like what?
I mean, about the flag that we don't own on the land that we don't own.
Okay, but
you don't think that if we could do something about that, we wouldn't have done something about that?
The mayor could do something about that. And this
Then
is
he is the most
reelection.
powerful man in the city of Hot
Okay,
Springs.
well,
'cause I don't think-
whomever, look, they're right here among us. The most powerful men, you get to do whatever, so you are able to do something about the flag. Because if we're going to get rid of one thing that's unsightly to look at, then let's get rid of everything unsightly. Or just leave everyone be. Just leave Miss Davis there.
The law is the law. I mean,
Okay,
you can
well,
only do what
you
the
know
law
what?
will allow you, but thank you very much. Do you have any more questions?
Thank you for coming and
Thank you.
being
Thank
here.
you.
That completes those who have signed up to speak on this ordinance O-26-10. Discussion amongst directors.
Mayor.
Director Holliday.
Thank you. So many things here. In advance of this meeting, I had several conversations with individuals in support of keeping food for thought in the parking lot, keeping the parking lot available for any nonprofit to do, to have events there, for it to be part of this program. I am of the thought that the parking lot needs to be a parking lot 24/7. However, that is not to say that I think that Food for Thought needs to go to the resource center. I've been a proponent of the resource center from day one. I think it's incredibly important. However, there are times where the services need to go to the people as opposed to the people going to the services. I think there are probably some solutions that we can reach to make sure that the organization is still very close to the people that need to seek services. I personally have some thoughts, but it wouldn't go into this ordinance. I want to make sure that if we pass this, that we are doing it, first of all, giving you guys more than enough time to communicate with the people who seek services. If it were to go into effect tomorrow, I don't think that that's going to be adequate for people who are expecting to show up at the end of the month. They wouldn't know any different necessarily. So we need to make sure that there is 1, if not 2 months available so the people who show up to get whatever it is they need to get know where to go. Also, for those who do, come to these service days on foot or in their motorized wheelchairs, that's like what Mr. Howe says. It is untenable to go across town. So I want to find a solution. I think the work that is done there in that 2 to 4 hours a month is remarkable, and it shouldn't be discounted, and it should not be, minimized into a version of whatever unsightly behavior or even lack of availability to park cars. I think the work needs to be honored. I think we need to figure out the best solution for everybody. I also think, with respect to a parking lot, I think the parking lot just needs to be a parking lot. I am happy to spend more time than I've already spent in trying to find a solution to this. I've spent hours since this came up months ago having this conversation. I want to make sure that the people in my district, in District 2, 3, wherever they come from, are getting what they need. And I do think in finding that solution, definitely Ms. Davis and a handful of other people need to be at the forefront of the conversation. But regardless of how we vote, I want to make sure that this does not take place immediately. So I don't know if that would be a matter of an amendment or City Attorney, if you could clarify, since it's an ordinance, it'd be at least 30 days, correct?
Yes.
Could we make sure that it was more than that? Like, would that technically be an amendment, that it would go into effect at a later date?
Yes, you could amend that to have an effective date of blank.
Okay. Well, I want to hear what other people have to say, but I will say, before the end of our discussion, I want to see an amendment for this go into effect beyond the 30-day mark. I'd like to give them at least 2 events to communicate with their clients to make sure that everybody knows where it is they need to go to get their resources.
Do you have any suggestions, Director Holliday, as to within that general vicinity where such an event could occur or be located?
I do. I know it has some other challenges. One, and I will say it wasn't my idea. It was suggested to me by someone else at the last meeting. But if it's acceptable to staff, the back parking lot at 324 Malvern. For those of you who are not familiar, that is the building that the city has redone just right over here, the brown brick building, and it has a covered parking lot in the back, talking about individuals who utilize the transportation depot for access. It's actually just a tiny bit closer there. It is only a building and a half away from the other location. It would be easy to have someone posted up at the parking lot and help usher them around for a time as needed. And also, as someone who does not do the work, I will acknowledge I'm not the one down there on Saturdays. But it would provide shade, it would provide cover for rain, it would provide some blocking for wind. And I do know one of the biggest benefits of the parking lot in communicating with a lot of people is that it's secure. There are fences all the way around. It helps control those who are seeking services. It helps you control the opening time. I feel like with the walls in that covered parking lot that there could be some things that could also help with controlling of the people coming through and how it works. It is not a suggestion that I'm making because I think that people need to come off of Malvern Avenue. I think it's a matter of, that's a parking lot that it's for a business that's open during the week. It's closed on the weekends. And so it's not being used at the moment. It's not necessarily going to compete with events other than St. Patrick's Day. I think every piece of asphalt competes with St. Patrick's Day. But that would be my suggestion. At this point, it doesn't mean there aren't others, but ultimately the people who are there every month doing the work, who know how many square feet it takes to do it, are going to be the ones that are going to have to come back and say whether or not it would work. But I do want to make sure that for myself, in passing this, that it doesn't mean that the work that you guys are doing is going to stop. And I have a feeling we could probably block off half the town and you guys would still find somewhere to show up, because that's what you do. But I want to make sure the people that walk down there once a month to get whatever it is they need can still do that. I don't want to take that away from the people in our community.
That is actually an area that I kind of thought might work as well, because it is within proximity. I appreciate Mr. Mitchell's comment about, consistency and not have kind of a break. And that's not his term, but just, relocating it to the Community Resource Center, which we've all supported, and I appreciate everybody's support on that. And then this program, if it's not going to go to the Community Resource Center, because we want to have something close within the current proximity of the services that are being delivered there once a month, I think that, for lack of a better term, I know it's a water utility, but I call it I keep going back to the old name, the AP&L building, and the underneath drive-through area of the AP&L building, and that would allow, as you said, some access to covered parking out of the elements and still within proximity of those that they serve. So, Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor, and I thank everyone for their comments. I wanted to say I do not believe the poor are unsightly. I think we are supposed to love our neighbor, and everyone should be respected. And what I didn't see in our package, and what I heard speakers say, that they didn't know about this, that it was quick. And so I was looking what was a transition plan, because I didn't find one, and maybe we dropped the ball on all of this communication. But I also heard the city manager say that there's times there's problems because somebody is there during the week that is not aware of things, and just like with the parade, that there's going to be a conflict of space there with a different group. So I would like to get all the stakeholders, and several people mentioned they want to be part of the solution. This week, especially, a lot of complaints have come forward about parking for employees. And this going back to unregulated parking, that this was going to be a space that employees could park in to walk to downtown businesses they work at. There's a big balancing act that's got to occur, but it's got to be done with respect and with win-win and with open communication. I was surprised that there wasn't any beforehand. So I would like to see us table this and bring stakeholders together to bring back everybody, talk and see if there can be consensus. And I would also move to table this to May 5th also.
I got a motion to table. Is there a second? Well, we got to have a second.
We can have a discussion after a second.
Can you have a discussion?
After a second.
After a second. Got a second? Okay, got a motion and a second. Discussion? Director Webb?
I look at this from a different lens, because I asked earlier, and I think it was Mr. Nathan who was up here at the podium, and I asked, if he could share with me more specific details about the events that the Giving Team does here at Church Street parking lot. And he shared with me that y'all have one big event each month. Is that correct?
Do you mind if I speak? So what you asked me was what groups were there. And I
Will you come
Okay.
forward so
You can come forward.
we can hear?
And Miss Janice, you can jump in too.
Is this a motion to table?
I can only
Well, a motion
that
to
I
table.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're strictly on a motion to table.
Okay.
It was discussion amongst us.
Let me just back up then with what I'm about to say, because if we've got a motion on the table on the floor, I think a lot of what I'm about to say would actually pertain to that discussion moving forward, potential work session, or when this comes back, if passed,
All right.
May 5th. So
You
I'm
wanna-
just going to stop there with the
Just
second.
call the roll then, please.
Director Webb,
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee,
Aye.
Holliday. Aye. Beard,
Aye.
Dobbs Smith,
Aye.
Mayor McKay.
Aye. Motion to table is approved. We'll have this back on the agenda on the 5th. And Bill, you'll kind of rally all the stakeholders.
I will do my best.
Can I say this? I have followed the rules that City Director Burrows asked us to do. I fill out the request.
I wasn't referring to you, Janice.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, I just want everybody to know that I've always followed the rules.
Right.
And other entities that do what they do what they do. But I follow.
We're gonna have a
Thank you.
St. Patty's Day in the parking lot.
All right, now we're moving on to Board of Directors items for discussion. Any items that board members want to discuss?
I think we've talked.
I think we've talked. We're almost at 9. Director Garcia,
If there's no further discussion, I move to adjourn.
Second.
you got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign.
Any public comment?